Hello, world. This is Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, and I am Chris Aballo. Welcome to the show. Thank you for subscribing to the show wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube, where there are full video episodes of the show every single Monday. And thanks for following us on the shows, the socials at Cape Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and again, YouTube. Make sure you're following, subscribing, see all the updates, the insane video clips, and all that other stuff that people enjoy, because you deserve enjoyment. We know you have a lot of choices in entertainment, and we thank you for choosing Chris Aballo's podcast experiment.
That was smooth.
Except for that one little moment where I was just sort of, my mouth can't keep up with my brain. Happens a lot. So I did.
That was, yeah.
I mean, I could just do a take two, but why bother? This show's just the realist. Exactly. And Father's Day is upon us. So I am surrounded by motherfuckers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back the Secret Stash Silver Fox Mike Zapcic.
Wow.
Sup?
And Ryan Taggart. Sorry, you don't get a title as elaborate as that.
Sorry. A title for me.
The Brown Weasel. I don't know. That's pretty fucking horrible.
The Brown Weasel.
All right. I mean,
all right. Well,
and no nicknames.
If nothing else, it's merchandise. Nothing else, it's another T-shirt for the shop.
That would be great. The Brown Weasel. It's like, are you wearing one of your own shirts?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the Brown Weasel.
Wearing a shirt with my face on it.
Yeah. But your face is the O in Brown.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's got to be how it is.
I'll take it.
I like it.
Can we do it?
I mean, I think we have to now before this goes out.
You'd have to be an anthropomorphic weasel, though.
Why?
Hold on that.
Why not? In the O, you'd have to do it.
We can have
the floppy ears.
Can we just have a tail put on him? Because he's kind of fuzzy anyway.
All right, that's
pretty fuzzy.
Yeah, like we'll just have a vestigial tail put on there somewhere.
All right, cool. All right,
At the base of your spine. Yeah, like what? Yes. Wow. Perfect. I like it. Oh, and that's right. On the board, working the knobs and the various bits and pieces. Please welcome back our doing a drum roll. He doesn't have a mic and he has strep throat, so he's going to yell hello at everybody and infect us. It's Connor, who made his debut
Connor.
in Cape 224, who's back for more torture, I guess, involuntarily. I mean, I hope he's on the clock, but that's up to Ming Chen.
Yeah.
So who knows? Let's
He's
just
paying you for this, right?
well,
like,
TBD.
I'm taking shit off the wall. I mean,
Yeah, that Captain America shield's coming with me, and I will hold it.
Yeah. Ming, you got my pay?
Yeah.
Clang, clang, clang.
Until I get that Cash App notification. Otherwise, I'm keeping some of this shit.
Speaking of which, oh my God, may I just say one thing?
Yes. Say all the things.
I saw your clip last week, and I love you guys.
We love you too.
I do.
love you
I
too.
love you guys.
Listen,
I love being on Cape. It's so much fun. It's always like the highlight of my week. When,
That's how low the bar is, everybody.
you got to step over that bar, folks. But I saw the clip where you were talking about DoorDash and Uber Eats.
Yes, and tipping and all that good
tipping.
stuff.
And I'm like, yes.
Which was a landmine that we stepped
Which
on.
I found out about. And I'm like,
nest.
holy shit. There are people who are arguing about tipping.
Yeah.
You know what? We're in that culture that is so arrogant, and we're so
Entitled.
privileged and entitled.
Spoiled. Everyone's a spoiled
Yeah,
brat.
you're all
Spoiled, entitled
pieces of
brat.
But
crap.
they're acting like tipping culture in the U.S. is new. It's not new.
No, it's been going on since
Your whole life.
Yeah,
It's been like this your whole
indentured
life.
servitude, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
on the Mayflower coming over here.
I mean-
there were people that needed to be tipped.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right or wrong, that's the way this is in the
Exactly.
U.S. It's not
Exactly.
going to change.
That's my thing. It's a tacit agreement we have in this
of course.
society.
And if you
You
want to
tip
change it,
service people.
let's fucking change it. I'm all for that.
That means everyone's got to be involved
But
in
yeah,
it. But
that's
it's not going to happen.
Everyone getting into lockstep and doing the same fucking thing, and there are shitbags out there who don't tip,
Right.
and those people drive me out of my fucking mind, because I was in the service industry for years. I was in the back. I was back of the house. We never got tipped.
Right.
We didn't get paid very well either, but at least we had bragging rights.
Right.
And we also, used to steal sides of beef, so fuck you. We were compensated
Statute of
in other
limitations
ways.
has expired.
Oh my
So
God!
it's all
yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
even if it hasn't, fuck you. Come get me. But to not tip a driver, someone you were telling me about, like going up to McDonald's. Even if you were going up to McDonald's and people are like, oh, so what? Leave them $1 for, tapping my shit into a thing with pictures. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, because they're not just tapping shit onto an iPad.
That's the point.
Yes.
It is.
The whole
They're
point of what
doing
we were
much
talking
more.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my very first job as a 15-year-old, got my working papers. I worked at a Dairy Queen. My boss would not let tipping happen. No. And we made minimum wage. And I made minimum wage for like 3 or 4 years.
And that's a minimum wage was highly minimal.
Yes, it was like $3.15.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was about $4.65 when I was
didn't
15.
complain because it gave me my work ethic. And I have a highly attuned work ethic. If there's time to lean, there's time to clean. I didn't hear that until I got to. Yeah, I know.
There's a certain boss we had that used to say that all the time, but he was the least effective person. He actually said, I said in the middle, forgive me for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
But that's like a PTSD moment for me because we had a manager who would say that and all the time, and then in some meeting, because I didn't give a fuck, and I haven't outgrown that yet. But he was talking about you have time to lean, you have time to clean, blah, blah, and says something else. And then another time he said, like, I don't work hard, I work smart. And I was like, well, you were half right. And
there you go. And
got a big laugh.
And
he didn't appreciate it.
And a big old pink slip.
Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. And where is he now?
I quit that job. He probably, at that particular company, fail upwards. So I'm sure he's running a store by now.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, I voluntarily left that job, so fuck him.
Of course. Well,
anyway, continue.
We didn't get tipped, but it would have been nice, for somebody to be, hey, here you go. Thanks.
Right.
So I know about you. You don't just do one thing when you're working a minimum wage,
of course,
low paying, and let's be completely transparent here. It's kind of a soul crushing, demeaning job,
right?
When you're at a McDonald's, you're not getting the best of the best coming in going, hey, you guys are doing a great job. No, you don't. You get the fucking dregs who are like, what can I get for 2 buttons, a shoelace, and a quarter? What the fuck? That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
And,
and those same people have access to the delivery apps.
Yeah, and exactly. And those people, they drive me bug nuts. And the people are like, well, I shouldn't have to tip. Well, you shouldn't have to fucking eat either.
Right.
And you shouldn't have options like DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything. And if you go out of your way to be a douchebag to somebody whose livelihood depends on tips, you're a fucking scumbag.
Right? Yeah.
Pardon my French, you're a fucking scumbag.
No pardons necessary. But that's the thing.
And come at me if you want. I don't really give a shit because, 0 fucks. All right, I have as many fucks as this man right here.
Which is 0.
Exactly. That's
right.
I'm less than.
That's why we're simpatico.
Brett Easton Ellis.
Right.
Fucking less than 0, motherfuckers. So,
and the whole point of it wasn't even tipping or not tipping. How this started was like I've been seeing, memes coming up on the internet where people are just bragging about.
Or just it's a thing on TikTok and Instagram and all the socials.
Not tipping the person who flips the iPad around. Like if you
boasting.
think I'm tipping the person who flips the iPad around, I'm not doing it. Like tip or don't tip, like fine. I'm going to judge you either way. But don't brag about it.
Yeah.
If you're not going to tip, keep it to yourself. If you don't want to do it, fine, you're still an asshole.
Yeah.
But keep it to yourself. You don't need to be bragging about it like it makes
like it's a badge of honor.
Like
exactly. Like some kind of badge of honor. It's not.
Or it's the reverse virtue signal.
Right.
Yes.
It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're just telling me how horrible a human being you are.
Right. And that was really the point. And then our conversation evolved into, people not tipping DoorDash drivers at all.
Right.
But the point of it really was just don't brag about not tipping. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, I said if you don't tip service workers, you are an asshole.
Yes,
The option is there.
And I agree with that
because
too,
it takes a certain amount of assholiness to actually go in and manually type in 000 for a tip for a delivery app.
Right.
Because there isn't a no tip option.
Their own gas and their own time.
Exactly.
To bring food to you.
And the majority of the arguments were, aside from the insane entitlement and smug sense of superiority, was, well, they can get another job then. Yeah, that doesn't excuse you being a cheap bastard, though. Right. Like, that's the funny part.
And when all these people leave these service jobs and you don't have anyone to bring you food or make you food, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain about that
That's
too?
Still the case by me in North Jersey. A lot of restaurants that have less, they're not open as long because they're short on staff.
Right.
And it's like, well, I mean, that was a problem, I think it was last year with restaurant workers, where there was a big thing online
Even
about.
Worse. There was 7-Elevens that were open literally from 7 to 11.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
there still is one in my neighborhood.
Of course there is.
That
because
closes at
they
11
can't
p.m.
find somebody.
Yeah.
because they don't want to fucking work.
Well, and that's the idea. Like, oh, well, they go get another job. First of all, nobody's doing this as a career. Nobody's doing this full time. It's like, I'm getting another job. Like, okay, but people also aren't, and people like, well, they're not enslaved by DoorDash. It's like, yeah, but that's not the point. They're doing it because they have to do it. They're trying to earn some money.
It's
like,
a side gig. It's
exactly.
a side
Like, people
hustle.
are doing it for extra money. But if it's not worth it, they're going to stop doing it. Which means
That's why I
less,
stopped doing it.
Yeah, like same. It's like less drivers, great. Delivery fees are going to go up, or you got to get off your fat ass and pick up your food yourself.
Right.
So who loses this equation? You do, because you want to be the cheap bastard. So
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me. Listen, put all the hate-filled comments you want on all the video posts, because
do.
I definitely don't want my views and engagement going up. No. Please don't leave negative comments. Oh
Yeah,
no.
and you should call up your friends and tell them that I said that they're assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Because that's fine.
At Michael Zapcic on Twitter and
Yeah,
Instagram said,
seriously.
I'm an asshole. Said I'm a cheap bastard.
Yeah. Because it's disgusting.
It is.
And we
It's ridiculous.
didn't expect how much that
We
was
didn't know what a firestorm this was going to be. We just thought like, we're going to put this out there and who knows. But 40-something thousand views later,
You're like,
all in is
what?
like,
I have a question.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
So I used to be a bartender. Used to start out getting $5 an hour. And we get some people, mainly old people.
Yes.
So let's say the total was like $5.76. In the tip thing, some old people would go like 24 cents. Like they'd write out 0.24.
Right.
Do you think that's worse than getting nothing at all?
Yes.
I think so.
I just thought about it. It's like I'm gonna give this person 20.
I just want to round up to the next dollar.
Buy
Yeah.
yourself something nice.
Yeah, right? Like, don't spend it all in one place, kid.
But
Yeah.
when it's just old people doing it, I guess there's a certain cuteness to it. There's an innocence to it where there's like, this is just the way they are.
No, old people are fucking assholes too.
Yeah. That's,
As a matter of fact,
so
sometimes
never
they're no.
Never
they're-
mind then.
No, but,
forget it.
I don't know.
Forget I said
It's-
anything.
If they're being cute about it, maybe they could give you a cash tip too.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Like, look at
you
this
know,
cute old man who just flipped me a quarter.
You know what
Yeah,
I do
exactly. It
all
thinks
the
it's still
time?
worth something.
Like, I'd be insulted,
Exactly.
but that was cute, you know?
What I do, if I possibly can,
Yes.
is I'll pay for our, whatever we, get, and not leave a tip on my card. I'll put on table. I'll write on table and then circle the whole thing.
right.
And then leave 25%. I do 25% pretty much across the board. My wife,
Same.
yeah. Her father was horrible though. Her father was. I insulted him one time because I got up and I'm like, oh, I left something back. I left my sunglasses on the thing because I saw the tip he left. I tried to pay. He wouldn't let me pay. I saw the tip he left. It was like, oh fuck. So I went over and I put like $20 down, and he saw me. And he's like, I saw what you did. And I said, and?
And? What are you going to do, old man?
Yeah. I'm like, hey.
You want to
Fuck
square
you.
up, old man?
Yeah, come on, old man. I think I can take you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I get my ass whipped by an 85-year-old.
Yeah.
I've had my ass kicked by worse.
But, yeah, right. 85-year-old woman. Oh, that would have been awful. So, yeah,
Wait, has that happened?
hit,
I like to
hitch
exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
Hitch up your britches. But no, and he was pissed off at me for like the next, well, I don't know,
30 years.
Yeah, pretty much. Till he died. But
He left me nothing. So.
I explained to my wife that I worked in the industry and you can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's our thought was these are people who've never had to do it. And so in their mind, they're like, which is so funny because like there are people who would like bartenders, like these people should get a real job. I used to be a bartender, a job where a lot of money's based on tips. And you're talking about like, hey, these fucking people are, they don't deserve a tip. It's like you worked for tip. Like, how does this not resonate
Right.
with
All
you?
damn day.
Oh, that's what I'm
have
saying.
have you been in a position like this ever?
No.
Like not when you were a kid? I mean, come
No.
on. Don't
No,
tell
and
me you
that's
haven't been
exactly
there
it.
Where you were a kid and you're like, oh man, I'm making shit money. Like, I wish someone would help me out. a
No,
little
it's your
bit.
station in life. It's not like people are bouncing back from a pandemic or anything like that. It has nothing to
Yeah.
do with, the world turned upside down for a lot of people.
That's
it has nothing to
another
do with
thing.
that.
Like you can't think back to when you were there yourself in a position like that and say, oh, maybe I'll flip this kid a couple of dollars.
Right.
Like, come on.
Exactly.
It's not going to break your bank and you know it.
No. And if it does break your bank, you shouldn't be fucking going out to
Right.
eat at all.
Yeah, you should be clipping coupons
Right.
and going to the supermarket.
Holy
That's what you should
Exactly.
be
And
doing.
eating cat food like
Yeah.
a fucking
Peanut butter and
degenerate
jelly
piece
sandwich.
of shit
Yeah.
that you are.
on Wonder Bread.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah,
it.
if that.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
speaking of fatherhood,
Yeah.
So speaking of giving your kids, tuna
Yes.
surprise.
A surprise.
There's tuna in this cat food.
Yeah, pretty
Counts,
much.
right? It's protein, kids. Eat up. So, you two both have 2 children.
Yes.
I have none. Connor, you got any kids?
I got a family in Barbados, but I keep that on the DL.
All right, I'm going to edit that out.
Okay.
So,
they work for tips, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Only tips.
They're barbacks in Barbados. Just to make it alliteration. You're
I
welcome.
like that.
See,
They don't
I
get
like it.
paid.
That's right.
Only tips.
See, I'm a writer. Anyway, only tips. That's it.
Just the tips.
And seashells. Anyway, so I don't know how much I'm going to have to bring to the conversation because I don't have kids other than generic, like, boy, being a dad must be really rough. And I frankly don't want to do that because it'd be silly. I'm sure you guys have questions for each other. I know you have a shitload of questions you've been sitting on for like 2 years since the last time we did an episode talking about fatherhood. And now that you have 2 children.
Yeah.
So fire away, please. I will absolutely let you take the lead if you want.
So,
'cause I
Mike.
know you have some
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Your kids are in college at this point?
I have
Out of college?
Actually, my youngest is graduating from high school this year. He's going to
Okay.
be going to Brookdale.
Okay.
And
Nice.
Brookdale, woo!
I went there.
Dale represent.
Brookdale's great. So did I.
Yeah.
And my other son is going the journeyman track.
Mm-hmm.
He listened to Mike Rowe, and
Yep.
he's just been accepted into the United Union of Electrical Brotherhood. So he's going to be an
Okay.
electrician.
Nice.
So yeah,
Good. That's awesome. And did they act like teenagers before they were teenagers? Let's say when they were 4, 5, somewhere in that area.
Are you asking? Did I have problem children?
Did you? Well,
Yes.
no, because I
mean,
have
it's
my daughter
redundant.
is about to turn 5 this
Okay.
summer, and she is like a fucking 16-year-old already with the way she talks. And
Oh,
with the
don't
back
tip
talking.
him, Daddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, Daddy, he doesn't deserve
And
money.
like the attitude
course.
and all that, and I'm like, she's a teenager already. I'm dreading her actually being a
Yeah.
teenager.
10 years in advance.
So
He's dreading it.
was this the same for you?
No.
Were there attitude problems early on?
I have 2 boys.
Okay.
So
Yes.
they never gave me a day's worth of headache. After they had turned 10. Before 10, a little bit. My youngest, Daniel, a great kid. When he was very young, he's hard-headed, he's stubborn, and he wants what he wants when he wants it. And I get that because he gets that from me, which is, yeah, I know, exactly.
I'm glad I'm sitting down. The room
And
is
that's
spinning.
that's my daughter Brielle. Right now. She wants what she wants when she wants it, and she won't take no for an answer.
Daniel had to
4-year-old.
learn. Daniel got his nose skinned a couple of times because I stepped back. As a father, I wanted to make sure that nothing ever harmed my children, ever.
Right.
You know, but you got to take a step back
Right.
and let them fall on their asses.
Yep.
You do. It sucks.
Yeah.
But you do.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and you learn that as you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Daniel he hated homework. And his writing, he has poor motor skills with his hands, so his writing is atrocious. But he comes by it. Honestly, his mother's handwriting is atrocious as well. She's got horrible handwriting.
She's not watching.
Yeah.
It's all right.
No, she'll probably see that. And
hears
you'll
this,
probably
yeah.
clip that. You're like, hey, show this to your wife.
Yeah, happy belated Mother's Day,
There
Jill.
you go, love.
sorry, honey.
But
Also not sorry.
I had to say it.
we told him that you can break the rules the minute that you know the rules and you follow the rules. The minute you follow the rules and you know the rules inside and outside, you can break them. But until that time, you can't. And
That's interesting.
he tried to. He kept running. And it's really weird because he's the kind of kid who marches to the beat of his own drummer. Fashion sense is like psychotic. He's 1 minute he's like all decked out in black like Johnny Cash over here, and another time
Like those
he's-
with taste or without.
Yeah.
Completely lacking taste
another,
and color.
yeah. One day he's that, and next day he's wearing a serape, and you know,
And
instead-
culturally appropriating all over the place,
No,
basically.
there's no. Hey, the man with no name was not culturally appropriating.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe. It was a different time.
no,
That's-
it wasn't. It
that's
was
the defense.
spaghetti westerns, motherfucker.
That's
That wasn't
racist.
appropriation.
That was an appropriate steal. Goddamn.
It was appropriate.
Italians appropriating Mexicans, appropriating American mythic
Yes.
figures. It's messy.
It gets messy.
yeah.
Don't
a
even
little
worry
bit.
about it.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
when when you know the rules and you follow the rules, then you can break the rules.
That's right.
Only after. Yeah.
After. Okay. And actually, my wife.
Never heard
told him
that.
My wife told him that, but my father told me as a young kid because I also was like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this." Like,
No.
No, exactly.
You?
I know me. No.
No, not you.
But that was the game plan, and it's just like, and we had to watch him like walk into a wall a bunch of times, and he butted heads with teachers who genuinely liked him, who genuinely loved having him in class, and it was insane.
Right.
He's like, this is driving me nuts, and we're like, you'll get it, buddy, you'll get it, and he came to the conclusion that, oh crap, the rules are here. Everybody's following them. Why don't I? For a little while,
Right.
At least.
And you got to
And he
figure
did.
it out. Yeah.
You have to go through it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, listen,
And
we
when you
have to
have
do
people
this.
in your corner, like obviously these teachers, even if you frustrate them, like they care about you and they want to see you succeed.
Exactly.
Which is a rarity
They
in
got
itself.
you. Yeah.
Which is really
When you
funny.
have teachers like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when he was in was it 4th or 5th grade, we were displaced by Sandy. All right, I remember this, oh my God, like it was yesterday. We were in Keensburg because we had to move out of Long Branch. Well, they bulldozed my house, and we had to move into Keensburg. Oh, I don't recommend it. The only place we could find that would let us bring all our animals. I wasn't going to split up my family again.
Right. No.
And he wanted to take algebra, but he couldn't because he had to learn a new discipline. He had to learn pre-calc. He had to do pre-calc. And he had to learn an entire discipline that had nothing to do with algebra before he could go and take algebra.
As like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So he's like, well, I'll just teach myself. So he did. This
Taught himself pre-calc.
10 years old, 9 or 10 years old, taught himself pre-calculus. He would go into
Jesus.
Better him than me.
Yeah, I know. I took that in high school and I retained
Yeah.
none of it.
he
I
By
got taught
force,
that, and
I
I
took
still
it.
didn't know it.
Yeah.
it was insane. He taught himself.
Wow.
I drove him, and they would open up. They had tutoring sessions at 7:00, and they said if you by mid-year, if you can pass a test, we'll let you go and do algebra for the rest of the year. So he did. 6 months. I drove him in the morning. I'd get there by 6:45. They'd open up the school for like their tutoring sessions. He was there, and holy crap, I was like, oh my God, this kid is amazing. So you're gonna find out that the pushback that you're getting from your daughter is probably you're thinking she's like a teenager. No, she's just trying to find what she's good at.
Right. And I, interestingly enough, in therapy, I'm talking to like my therapist about this adversarial relationship that my daughter and I have sometimes because she's stubborn like I am, and we fight a lot. And she gets it from me. I know she does. Like the stubbornness and the hard-headedness, and I want what I want when I want it too. Like she's just like me, and I can't stand that. I don't want her. I don't want her to be like me in that way. You know, like
Not when I have to deal with it.
I don't
I
want her to turn out like this. And
On a therapist's couch
you know,
when they
she
talk
told
about her
me
daughter.
that until a child is 7 years old, the way their brain is formed, they don't realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. And then at that age, this has been studied psychologically, I guess. That's when they start to realize that not everything revolves around them. So she's not there yet. She's 4 years old, and she thinks that everything revolves around her.
Of course.
So that was interesting. I didn't know there was a certain age where.
I didn't know either. I guess.
It's like, hey, I guess not everything's about me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Now, how has she responded to having a sibling? Because that's 6 months now.
She's been mostly great about
Okay.
it. She's been mostly great. She loves him. She always wants to play with him.
Does she
Always-
understand like the big sister, younger
Oh,
brother?
yeah.
Does she understand? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
She understands that. She's very smart in that way. She's a little rough with him, because she's a 4-year-old.
Punching him like a football,
Yeah,
like
and
that
she,
kind of
you
thing.
know, she keeps getting him sick. She's in preschool, so she brings home
Oh well, she
all the
gets
germs.
everybody
Of course.
sick. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
he's been sick for
that's
like
par
the
for
last
course.
month because of this. She breathes in his face and wants to touch him and kiss him and play with him.
And bounce him like a basketball.
And how do you
Yeah,
tell
exactly.
a 4-year-old like you have to stay away from your brother for 2 weeks because you're sick? Like
No.
it doesn't fly, you know. So that's been fun. But she's great with him. She always wants to see him. She wants to be with him. She wants him to sit next to her when she's on the couch. Like, yeah, it's adorable. It's adorable. But, she's stubborn, and she, when he's cranky and needs to be picked up, she's like, no, leave him here. And I'm like, no. He doesn't want to be sitting there like falling over on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to be picked up and held right
like
now.
a bowling pin.
Right,
Just
yeah.
falling on the couch.
He's almost at the point where he can sit up by himself, but he's not quite there.
Yeah.
So it'll be a couple of seconds, then all of a sudden he's like, thunk. And you can't catch him in time.
Which sounds hilarious to me. But
it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's it. He's also not
there,
mine.
but not quite. So it's funny. He falls
and
over
then
a lot.
they start to like, they're like, pick me up, god damn it.
Right.
That's what it translates to. Because you're like, you start to get that shorthand in your head. Pick me up. It's like, motherfucker. Right?
Yeah, all right.
And he's mostly cool. I mean, my son Shane, he's 5 months now. I guess by the time this goes out,
it's about 6
months.
Six-ish, yeah.
And he's happy as a clam most of the time. He's always smiling, always giggling.
Black belt? Yeah.
Not yet.
All right,
no.
good enough.
Soon. He kicks his legs a lot, so that's coming.
Oh, he's at least a swimmer.
Yeah, he'll be a swimmer and he's a soccer player. We'll see.
Maybe.
Tour de France.
Tour de France, yeah, no, without the dope.
As well.
And
no guarantees.
Don't limit him, man. Come on.
Okay, performance-enhancing drugs. Okay.
Listen,
We'll
don't
see
say
what
it
they're
on
like.
mic. All right.
We'll see what they're like in 20
It's not
years.
illegal unless it gets caught.
Right.
Don't libel the kid.
But it's when Jen was pregnant with Shane, a lot of people told me separately and completely unsolicited that the jump from 1 kid to 2 is so much harder than going from 0 to 1.
Oh yeah,
and they're absolutely fucking right.
Oh my God, yes.
So
okay.
like I had 3 or 4 separate people like along that way tell me, like unsolicited. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't say anything, and they're like, "Oh man."
They're like, "Listen, I've
Just wait.
seen this movie."
Like going from 1 to 2 is so hard, and it is so hard.
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
Because Mitch was almost 3 years old when Daniel was born, but I mean, one of the joys that you're gonna find is watching them grow up, and they're gonna be coming from the same moral stock.
Yeah.
But they're going to be 2 different people, and it's so cool because Mitch is very, my oldest Mitch is very contemplative. He's very zen. I have a picture in my phone of him on top of a swing set at like age 9, and he's like in the lotus position, and he's just I'm like, that's cool.
On his own?
Yeah.
And then
he was reading like the Maharishi at 9, whereas his brother was reading algebra, teaching himself algebra.
Well, Daniel he would run. I have this horrible story. So he was he's 2 years old. Just about ready to be diaper trained. He's got a full diaper. I'm going to go and change him. And he gets up and he starts running.
No.
And it was like, nah.
No.
And I'm like, no. And he slipped on a book, one of those thick poo books, and slipped and fell right on top of it and gashed his eye.
Oh.
And blood everywhere.
Yep.
So I grab him and he's screaming. And he's still got a
Full diaper. Yeah, so both ends need attention.
All right. So put the pressure on, change his diaper, take him to Monmouth Medical. And we're out there, and he's screaming like a lunatic, like a banshee. And I'm like, buddy, it's going to be fine. We're going to be good. And he came really close. It was like right here. So it's like
close.
within millimeters of like blinding himself. Oof. So they have to give him stitches. And they put him into the papoose. And I'm holding him like this. And I'm like, buddy, we're okay. We're okay. Yeah. And the nurse comes and she's like, and it's a new nurse. You could tell she's like brand new. And she's like, sir, why are you holding him like that? I'm like, because he'll freak out and fuck you all up if I don't. So she's like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, your funeral. So I let him go, and I'm like, buddy, just be still, we're good. And she comes over, and she's like, I'm so sorry, little man. And she like wipes the thing with alcohol. He's like, and punches her.
And you're like, told you.
And I'm like, what? Yeah, exactly.
I hate to say I told you so, but
I mean, it's not funny.
I fucking
it is.
told you so.
No, it is. And I'm like, why didn't you listen to me? You should have let me hold him like that.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah,
bring
what does that even mean? Like what like that? Like,
Yeah, what's the wrong way to hold
you're
him?
comforting
Well, I'm
when
on-
you're
well,
comforting him.
No, but I was like holding him like this.
like
I was,
bear hugging him.
Oh yeah, I was bear hugging him. And there's like this little papoose that they put on him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have like problem children that they put papoose.
Like a straight jacket.
Yeah, like baby's first Hannibal Lecter jacket.
Right, yeah.
So he's in it, and they start stitching him up, and he's like and you can hear the Velcro ripping. It's like
Oh man.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
exactly. And
Mike's read a lot of comic books by this point.
The
And-
nurse is like looking at me like this, and I'm like, so faster.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? So
Yeah.
faster.
Do it.
Because she's like, she's terrified
Mm-hmm.
because he's like and I'm like, so I'm like, what are you gonna do?
Mm.
And I'm like, buddy, you pulled through like a trooper.
Mm.
I said, we're gonna work on your social skills a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, he
Listen,
took it
it's
like,
not okay to punch nurses. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Even
hit
if,
women.
even when they are trying to help.
Yeah. My God, yeah. Unless it's Nurse Cratchit. Then we will-
And were you by yourself when that happened? Like when the accident happened?
No,
Or was
no,
your wife there with
my
you?
wife was
Yeah,
there.
she was there. Okay.
But
Because
she was
that's
like-
scary too. Like if you're alone So once, Brielle, she slipped on some water that was on the kitchen floor next to one of the dog bowls, and I was home alone with her. Jen was at work, and she face plants on the kitchen floor, blood pooling in her mouth, dripping down onto her shirt, onto the floor, and I lost it. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Did she knock out a tooth? Did she bite through her tongue? Like, I don't know what happened. She's screaming. There's blood everywhere. And I called my wife, and she's like, I don't know. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, what do you want me to do? I'm at work.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I broke the kid. Help me.
I broke her. Like, she fell on her face, and there's blood everywhere.
Warranties
oh my
run
God.
out.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Who do I call about
And,
this?
Eventually it just kind of stopped bleeding. We didn't have to take her anywhere.
Okay.
She just kind of bit her lip a little bit, but
okay.
a lot of bit. But
Yeah, enough.
Well, let's put it
It was
this
like
way.
it was scary. Like this is the first time something like this has happened to me, and I'm here alone with her, and I'm like,
Of
I
course.
have no idea what I'm fucking doing.
Gotcha. Any head wound is gonna bleed a lot.
Yeah.
Like the mouth, around the eyes,
Yeah.
any place. Like scalp lacerations are bad, but they look much worse than they usually are. Unless there's like an arrow sticking like
Right.
through.
All the way
You're
through.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Or hopefully they're okay. You're definitely okay because you're like, arrow ain't through my head. I'm good.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
arrow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
take
it's
that.
it's all a matter of just it's just meeting the challenges as they come up.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. I mean, yes, it is a quantum leap between one child and two.
yeah.
But the really cool thing is that they're going to start backstopping each other, and you're going to see how awesome it is to have like, oh, he's got a big sister.
Yeah.
So
Right. And initially, like, I wanted it the other way around. I wanted to have the son first, and then, have a little sister that he could protect. Like, I'm old-fashioned like that. But then,
And you are the big brother too.
Right.
So that's
yeah, I'm the oldest
probably
of
in
three
there.
boys, and there's that protective thing. So I was like, I want to have the son who's going to kick the ass of the guys that come around and make
You're
sure his
still
little
gonna.
sister is protected.
Yeah.
But I have it the other way around now, where she's the big sister and she's going to protect him.
but he's going to end up protecting her too.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's
They'll
what,
have each
4-year
other's
gap?
backs. Yeah. Yeah. So
Cool.
about 4 years.
So when she's like 16 and starts dating, he's gonna be 12.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a fucking creative monster.
he's going to be a
that's good to
prepubescent
know.
monster.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's that.
So that's a good thing. And as long as they're on good terms, he will fuck up anyone who even touches her heart,
Yeah.
which is pretty awesome.
yeah.
This is true.
I mean, that's
true.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. I like that's
Comforting, right?
Yeah.
What
Because
is
this
it?
is wild.
Yeah.
Going through this and for the first time, and
Yeah.
What is it you guys wish you knew before? I mean, that was like a positive thing, but let's say like a warning, something you could put out. What is something you wish you'd known before having kids that you had to essentially find out the hard way? Aside from like any head wound is going to be bad.
Oh, I had 5 older brothers and 4 of which
shit.
have children. So I watched.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
So
yeah. And I was
you
also,
had reference points.
I was the youngest. I was the baby of the family, so I got taken care of. I was the one who was the little brother who, anybody picked on me. I had
Man,
brothers
4
who-
other people.
Yeah.
You would have half a football team to go after.
And I had like the one thing that do you have a dog?
We have 2 dogs.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
We have 2.
animals.
Yeah.
Get them attuned to animals. That
Yeah.
is one of the most important things. We didn't get a dog until Daniel was 3,
Okay.
and she just passed away. Cassie was a great dog, like the world's best dog. And if your dog isn't the world's best dog, you got fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them is pretty great. The other's kind of an asshole, and he's kind of stupid.
Oh, I got
we love him anyway.
Oh,
But,
of course, I got 2 assholes now. The ones that I got, they're both. All 3 of them were rescues.
Yeah.
But I've got Doc, who's almost 100% Jack Russell, and he's just a jumping asshole.
Yeah.
And then I've got Piper, who was part of a hoarding situation. So she was more of a rat than a dog.
Yeah.
She's part Chihuahua, and she looks like. What the fuck does she look like? She looks like a cross. If Baby Yoda fucked
Larry David. No.
possibly.
Where'd that
yeah.
come from?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Chihuahua. I mean, is there a straight line between Larry David and a Chihuahua? I mean,
no, how
that's
about-
not in a bad way.
That's not far off.
How about if-
aesthetically.
How about if
Yeah.
Baby Yoda fucked Gandhi? That's because she's a brindle, and I mean, that's just bald
Yeah.
head.
In season
But
2 of
Brindles
What
are
If,
beautiful. Like their coat is, it's awesome.
Yeah.
They're beautiful dogs.
sorry, I'm stuck on Baby Yoda fucking God.
Yeah,
I-
that's just in there, right?
yeah, it's not. You guys have to carry on the conversation
I'm going to
because
show
I'm
you the
very
picture
stuck on
after
that.
this, and you're going to be
Please-
like,
yeah, I'm going to
"Holy
lose my
I can
shit.
see that. That's oh my god.
Yeah, like that was wildly accurate.
Yeah. But
Oh.
animals are important.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we had the
cats.
dogs first before we had even our daughter, so they were there, and then
Gotcha.
she loves them, and he's gonna love them too. That I'm not too worried about. And weirdly enough, our dog Dexter, who's kind of like the asshole, and he's pretty stupid. There's something about him that he just loves kids. Like he's very concerned about them. He's very protective of them.
Oh yeah,
Perfect, that's
yeah.
it.
If
he
we
gets
like
very
pick
protective.
them up or like swing them around or whatever, he just like starts to whine and he gets very nervous about it. He's got this protective streak in him that's really weird considering the rest of his personality. I'm like, where is this coming from?
Right?
He acts like he's never eaten before. He inhales his food and he barks at everything, and he's just kind of dumb. But
if
he's
you-
very sweet and protective with the kids.
Gotcha.
It's really weird.
Like if Larry David fucked Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like I've never seen the show, but yeah, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
let's-
my wife watches it.
yeah,
She loves
his
it.
wife's
I've
a big
seen bits and
fan,
pieces.
so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that
Excellent
that works. But what I wish I would have known is how to get through the arguing that happens like very early on. Having a kid who just argues about everything. And
That I can't help you with because I had to just go through it. That's all you can do is because logic doesn't work.
right.
Because Daniel would not go to sleep from the time he was like 18 months. Well, when we took him out of the crib, which was 18 months or 2 years. I think it was 2 years. 2 years to 4 years. Every night was a battle with him to go to sleep. And there were times when he was like stoving in my ribs because I had to like stay in front of the door so he wouldn't just come out and
Really?
terrorize. Oh yeah.
Really?
He's like,
Wow.
I'm not going to bed. He'd come in and he's like kicking me in the ribs. I'm like, that kind of hurts. I
Wow.
tried to soothe him, and he's very. He had to self-soothe. Like,
Yeah.
he would rock a lot, and there were times when, it's gonna sound really harsh, but I was worried that he was on the spectrum, that he was either autistic or Aspergery. But no, it was just him figuring out who Daniel was. And like I said, he marches to the beat of his own drummer.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it is awesome to behold, because he's growing up to be this amazing human being, this amazing man, and I couldn't be prouder. And I mean, he started doing jujitsu about a year ago, and he's taken it to like competition level.
Wow.
He's 17 and he's fighting grown men, and
Damn.
he's actually kicking their asses. And it's amazing to behold because they have a nickname for him. He's No Tap Dan at his
Dojo.
Dojo.
Sure. I don't know what the technical
Yeah,
term is. I'm
dojo,
just
yeah.
His house, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it. But even
because he never taps out, he will keep fighting.
And I mean, up to the point where he, they will choke him out,
Mm-hmm.
and he's still fighting. And they're like, this is only practice. Don't kill yourself. It's practice. It's okay to tap out every once in a while.
And he says no.
He's like, no.
He says no.
This will not fly.
No.
Wow.
I have to figure out how to do this, and I have to figure out how to do it well. And right now, and this is mind-boggling. He is growing because he wanted to learn about biology. He's not growing his own mushrooms. He not like
Not
not
those
peyote.
mushrooms. Not those
No,
mushrooms.
not those mushrooms. He's teaching himself how to grow mushrooms, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Cordyceps and mitochondria and all these.
Cordyceps. Like in The Last of Us?
Yes, exactly. And that shit's real.
That doesn't sound good.
No, well, don't piss my son off.
It was an influential show. Let's put it that
yeah.
way.
No, he was doing this before then, which is weird. It's an influential video game.
Is it well?
He decided that he wanted to find out how mushrooms grow, because he's, like I said, one thing led to another. He's doing jiu-jitsu, so he started to find out about superfoods and what's good for his body. And
was it nootropics? Is that what it is for the mental? A lot of mushrooms that added to things for mental, to mentally boost your brain.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying the word right. I don't know if I am because I don't know anything, but it's like nootropics, neurotropics, something like that.
Yeah,
is it neuro? Okay,
neurotropics.
there you go.
Yeah, neurotropics.
That sounds right.
And there are people who use microdosing mushrooms for neurotropics, but he's doing it for like lion's mane. I'm finding out all this shit. Like lion's mane is almost the most perfect food for you, and turns out that human beings, if we didn't start eating mushrooms, we didn't figure out that, hey, we can eat these mushrooms and they're good for us, and oh my God, we can eat meat and that's good for us. Our brains wouldn't have formed the way that they have. So, hey, vegetarians, vegetarians, go fuck yourselves. You're wrong.
Shit. See, mushrooms are like the one vegetable that I just can't do.
Really?
I can't.
What about the supplement though? Because they make I've seen a lot of mushroom supplements, like lion's mane,
like a pill form where I don't have to taste it.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or like gummies or some such shit.
Yeah, I can't.
Like my coffee has lion's mane in it.
The mere thought of them just revolts me. Like they're fungus. Like I can't do it. And I've come a long way. Like I used to eat no vegetables. I hated everything.
Yeah, you did. You said
But,
eat vegetables and not drink water.
I'll eat almost any vegetable now.
Yeah.
But mushrooms.
It's any wonder he can stand upright.
Yeah. But damn, I guess I'm gonna have to take some sort of mushroom pills. Huh?
I think so. I'll recommend.
What is it? Nature's Balance.
Nature's
there
Balance.
you go. You got a Keurig or something? I'll hook you up with the coffee that I drink.
Yeah.
Every morning. I don't know that it helps me because
You look good.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Thanks, man. I do. Well, because I've been a little nuts with sugar. That's my vibe, and it is for you too. You got a sweet tooth as well. But by dropping sugar, I'm down to I didn't even weigh this little. I mean, I'm sure at some point in my 20s I did, but like literally I weigh less than I have for the entirety of my 30s. Like I was hovering around, like when we met, I was hovering around like 195, and I'm below that now.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little tired of the skinny guinea kind of look that I've had for the last couple of months. So I am trying to tone up, but the point was to drop the weight first.
Right.
And part of that has been like
tone
just
up.
working coffee and coffee, just everything. It's one of those things with, to get on a wild tangent, mushrooms to coffee, but why not? It's one of the things where there's no. The proof is there for the benefits coffee has in your brain, whereas sugar doesn't have any benefits at all. I mean, it does. It is like like 1 hour's up and then 5 hours down or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like there's more and more evidence to that. So I'm like, okay, what? All right, I just need to make this coffee taste like dessert is what I need to do. So and I've gotten better because as I've started eating more fruits and not eating as many gummies, I know it was tough to give up, but you do adapt. And as somebody who's I've lost weight over the last 2.5 years. It has helped in the idea of switching to coffee and actually finding like, oh, this actually works. And this has, I remember even making it for my father, bringing these K-Cups down when I stayed with them and him seeing it's just like lion's mane, like coffee fruit. He's like, this coffee tastes like fruit. I don't think I want to try it. I'm like, no, Dad, there's also not like little like lion hairs in here either.
Yeah,
like,
no.
it's just the name.
It's not what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not like lion's mane. It's just like, what the fuck? Is this fuzzy coffee? Like, what are you bringing me? What kind of hippie? Is this shit you brought back from California?
Hippie shit.
Yeah, exactly. And no, not the case. But it has this stuff kind of built into it. And I'm sure gradually, like with everything else, I'm sure it's going to have its gradual improved effect on me. But yeah, it's something I've been seeing as well, like as far as mushrooms and that's, which is why I even brought up like the neurotropic things or whatever it is. I still feel like I'm saying it wrong. I probably am. Neurotropic, thank you. Where I think like, oh, right, that's good, which I'm still at the point where I'm like, well, I want to preserve whatever is here. As little value as it has, I want to preserve it because it's probably not going to grow anymore. Maybe just get some more wrinkles, just like the outside, but otherwise. So that it's funny that you mentioned that because, yeah, that is something that like I've kind of paid more attention to, which just now, again, that information's out there. So, and you have the ability, it's the, what do they, there actually is an expression for, is it, because now everything is classified as some degree of privilege. And it's like, it's not time privilege, I forget what it was, but growing up in this era, the information era, where you can find the answer to anything, or like there's been research done, or like medically, you know, like there was a period of time where like people had to have procedures done without anesthesia, you know, like stuff like this. I forget what the term is, but there's something that's being put around as far as, you know, because everything is too many things are being, but too many things are being put in the classification of like, you know, what type of privilege it is. It's just like, well, there's American privilege, and then there's privilege about, you know, the time we're growing up in because we have access to this information, or these things are being studied. Like even about like a kid doesn't realize the world doesn't revolve around them until 7. Well, who knew that?
Right.
We didn't know that growing up.
Right.
Our parents probably didn't know that.
Nope.
You probably didn't know that, and you've had kids more recently, or
parents,
a longer time ago.
Our parents
It wasn't paid attention to. Yeah.
You know, hey, the world doesn't revolve around you. You're
Yeah.
like 4, like, what?
You hear the belt snap.
Yeah, exactly.
That took a dark turn.
Yeah, really. Speaking of corporal punishment, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
anyway,
no.
go ahead. No, I don't want to interrupt the flow. I just a little bit of a tangent, but I know you have a flurry of.
Yeah. So you stopped over to the house to visit.
I have.
My daughter Brielle loves this guy.
Yeah,
because
she's my biggest fan.
because he talks to her, and that's all she wants is someone to just talk to her.
Which is
the two of them would go for hours.
Yeah.
Just and he listens and he talks back to her, and it's great. And she's constantly asking when he's going to come over. When are we going to see your friends again? Constantly. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'll try to get him to come down.
Yeah, kid, I got shit to do. You'll realize one day when you're older.
So Chris witnessed a dad joke that came out of me when he was over. And it was something that I remember.
See, the neurotropics aren't working. You're going to remind me what it is. Neurotropics, excuse me. Whatever the.
So you witnessed a dad joke, and you like called me on it immediately. And it's something that I remember
Sounds like
from my childhood. So my daughter said, "Hey." I don't know, she was saying hey to me or whatever. And I'm like, hey is for horses.
Oh, God.
And it was something, I remember my childhood friend that lived next door to me, I remember his dad saying that to us whenever we would say,
my dad said it too.
And I'm like, hey is for horses. And that, for some reason, that has stuck with me for 35 years.
And you did not know it was in there.
And I didn't know it was in there. And then since she's been like able to speak for a couple of years now, like whenever she says that, whenever she has a tone to it, I'm like, hey is for horses. Like, knock it off. And he was like, "Oh my God, what a dad joke!" He heard it, and it came out, and it.
Yeah, see, I'm still far enough removed that I'm like, I can look at it and just be like, man, you've taken a turn.
Yeah, right.
It's in there, and it's not coming out now.
I have been known to wear New Balance sneakers because they're fucking comfortable. And the dad jokes are there, you know. So
Of course, once you get
grilling season's coming.
Yeah,
you got a shed.
I had a dad bod way before.
Yeah, he was ahead of the curve. Like now, it's trendy.
Yeah,
Ryan
so
was getting started on that shit in his 20s.
Yeah, it's.
I wear
That's been a work in
slip-ons.
progress.
I'm wearing fucking Hey Dudes right now, and they're awesome.
What are those?
These
I
are
know
Hey
that, but I don't know.
Dudes, man.
They're
Hey Dudes. They're
aware
like
of that, but
wallabies.
I also not receiving AARP yet. But okay.
No, and me neither. But they're
Which apparently we can get already. I was told that you don't actually have to be retired. Yeah.
I
There's
thought,
all
don't they
kinds of
send it to you
benefits.
on like your 50th birthday?
Yeah, I get stuff from them.
Get the fuck out of
I
here.
do, yeah. And apparently you can sign up for it. You don't have to be of retirement age anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't keep track of the
it's fucked
discounts
up.
I have now. Like,
I know.
But you get 10% off of DoorDash.
Yeah. which
you can
which
in turn-
leaves you money to tip.
Fucking A right. That's what I say.
This is a shit.
Yeah, right? But anyway.
So, you know, when it comes to, you know, the arguments that I have, I'm stubborn and I don't want her to have the last word. And she wants to have the last word. and there's a lot of hand waving going on, and there's a lot of but. There's a lot of and she'll like put her hand up like this, like she's Vanna White when she's explaining to me her case, and she's very smart, but she says a lot of shit that's just factually wrong.
Of course.
And
all children do.
Yeah. So because she wants to press, she wants to figure these things out. But even when I tell her something's wrong, she's like, no, like this is.
You're wrong.
Yeah. And I
look, old man, saying, like, you're the one who's wrong.
Yeah, instead of just saying, okay, honey, yeah, whatever. Like I don't want her going out into the world and like telling people these things that are factually wrong.
Of course.
I want her to be right when she goes out there. You know.
If you're gonna shoot your mouth off, at least have the high ground.
But like no, like what you're saying is wrong. Like it's factually incorrect.
Right.
And you need to know that. I know you're only 4, and I'm like, am I being too harsh? When I do this, or should I just let her like be wrong?
You're being a dad, and you're gonna have to let her get her nose skinned a couple of times.
Yeah.
You need to do that, but. Also, you want her to be. I love that. I want her to have the high ground. You want her to be like the intellectual Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean,
right? Yeah, I just
rather
want her
than being
to
the dumb kid who's always wrong.
I just want her to not say shit that's just wrong.
I don't want you to be Anakin Skywalker. That dude fucking. He was sitting there wiggling. He had no arms and no legs. Fuck him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look how he
probably didn't tip.
Yeah, exactly. He probably didn't tip. Now look at him. He's choking motherfuckers across the room. He took a turn for the worst.
Yeah, he definitely had. So you don't want to be Anakin Skywalker.
No. Or do you? You don't want your kids to turn into Anakin. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I don't want
you don't want to raise an Anakin.
Or a Luke. I mean, he was a whiny sack, too. But
Yeah, but he's a farm boy in the desert, no less. What the fuck were they farming in the desert is what I want to know.
Moisture. They were farming
Is that what it is?
Wow. Gold mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the answers. That's why he's here. As one of these.
It was a moisture farm,
he's
for
very,
sake.
He's very wise. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would expect you to have the answer. You grew up with this.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's going to know, like Ryan and I are just casual fans of Star Wars. So, I mean, that's why we don't actually know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And we're going to pretend you do. So let's say it was moisture.
That's right now. And people out there are like, he's a douchebag about tipping, but
it's like
he knows about moisture farms.
People in the comments are going to be on fire over that. They're like, how dare you?
How dare you? How dare you look down your nose on moisture farmers?
Yeah.
You fuck.
Moisture farmers don't get tipped. They have a real job.
Yeah, seriously. That's the hill I'm going to die on, folks. That's...
It's just it's funny when you have like these moments where you're frustrated, but then like the next second your kid looks at you and they're like, I love you, Daddy, and I'm like,
see, that's one of the things.
You can't stay mad, and and then she cracks a joke, and I'm like, I forget like how much she pissed me off 3 minutes ago. And she says stuff to me like she'll be walking out the door to go to school or whatever, or wherever she's going, and I'll be like, I love you, like, have a good day, like, be good. And she'll look at me and she goes, you be good. Like, just like that with that tone. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
Right.
But, like, it makes me laugh so much.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and you're like,
this sassy little attitude that she has.
But you're like, you know what? I was thinking about not being good. I was thinking about not tipping a DoorDash guy. Too.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking.
But now,
my daughter. Good.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Who's raising who, Ryan?
Yeah, who's raising who? Yeah.
Raising Ryan.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
My kids, my 17-year-old, without even having to prompt him, will tell me he loves me.
Oh.
And so does my 20-year-old. I mean, it's you raise them right, and they have a solid foundation. You can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all I want to do.
That's what that ultimately should be the job, is to give them that,
right,
at least. Because there's so much. I mean, even look, as we, as two dudes, doing lots of therapy, it's like you do have to figure a lot of yourself out anyway. Mm-hmm. You're still better off with a more solid foundation, of course.
Pushing
so the
40,
idea
I still have no idea.
Like, well, and that's it. A lot of people don't.
This world.
Yeah,
most
of us don't.
Mistakes. We all, and that's part of our jobs is to make the mistakes.
Yeah,
we're gonna sit here and we'll solve the world's problems.
Yeah.
As we do.
In our heads.
Yeah. But we still, I mean, on a daily basis, as long as I don't fucking burn my house down or like torch every single relationship I have.
Yeah.
I try to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't always succeed, but most nights I get to go to sleep with a clear conscience. My head hits the pillow. Nothing wakes me up in the middle of the night like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, thank God. I don't have any guilt about anything that I've done. You know, my side of the street is pretty clear.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be a good example and that's the thing right there, trying to be a good example.
Yeah.
Like not just telling them what to do, but showing them how to do it.
Yeah, actually being good, not just telling them to be good.
Yeah.
You be good.
Show me how.
Yeah, right?
Right. And
Show her
that's-
how to be
yeah,
good.
And that's all you want. And it's, you know, when you're a dad, you know, for the first time, especially, like you have a lot of doubt at first. And, you know, I had my first real panic attack about 3 months after my daughter was born. And, you know, 3 months of sort of like no sleep and less money and less time and less freedom. And those thoughts, you know, am I good enough for this? Am I strong enough for this? Am I unselfish enough for this? And it just, eventually it hits you. And, you know, you always have these questions in your head, like, can I do this? And obviously there's no turning back at that point. Like, the kid's here. But you still have these questions. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time. I have no idea what to do. Can I actually do this?
We have instincts, and as long as you follow those instincts, and like I said, you don't burn the house down. You don't leave the kid unattended for more than, say, 3-4 hours.
You don't make them sleep in the yard.
If they're not sleeping in the yard.
You don't leave them out in the street corner. You should be fine.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, things start to click, and it's still hard. It's still hard every step of the way, but eventually you
seems
realize
like a drag.
you can do it.
Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it sounds
Oh,
like
it's
it.
the hardest job I've ever
It's the
had.
hardest
No,
one.
without
Yeah.
a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. That's why I've kind of come back to, like, I don't know if this is on the table for me. You don't have more patience the older you get. So I don't know that
I certainly don't.
Doesn't matter.
closing in.
It's
Go
never
ahead.
been about patience.
No?
It's never because I've lost my temper with my. They used to call me Mad Dad.
Yeah.
What's up, Mad Dad? It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm glad, Dad. You know, because you go through your, you know, your ebbs and your flows.
No, of
and you
course.
have your like, oh,
As a
God.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a father.
And
Yeah,
it's
of course.
a shock to your system, and sometimes it makes you, you know, act in ways that you're not proud of.
Of course.
Like I've had those moments too where I lost my temper, especially with like a very, you know, willful kid. You know, it's easy to be like,
Believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's-
like
no,
yeah.
yeah, of course. You know.
Mike, have you seen the show Breeders? It was on. Oh, okay. Are you aware of it?
No.
Okay. So check it. If you have Hulu, then definitely give it a
I
watch.
don't have Hulu, but I'll
Okay.
maybe
Well, find a means, or FX. I'm sure it's on demand somewhere. So they've done 3 seasons. It's a British show, co-created by Martin Freeman.
Okay.
Excellent. And basically the tagline, I enjoyed the hell out of it as somebody who doesn't have kids, but also I get the premise because basically to sum it up as he summed it up, inspired by his own adventures and misadventures as a father, is saying trying to exist in that space between being willing to die for your kids and wanting to kill your kids. And I thought it was so great. I mean, I recommended it to our friend Jack, who watched one episode, was just like, this is horrible. Why would you even have kids? And I'm like, listen, I'm sure raising you wasn't exactly a day in a rose garden either. Okay.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just having kids isn't. Like, I was a kid and I remember, and that's the same way I know how to talk to Ryan's daughter. It's like, well, I was a kid. You just talk to them.
Yeah.
You don't baby talk to a kid.
Right.
You don't you don't loom above them like some people we know and just like, and just kind of hover. Like, no,
Yeah.
you get down on the ground and you talk, and that's it. Like, it's not that hard. Just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't know. I was a fucking kid once upon a time.
Yeah.
But it is an excellent show because and again, as somebody who doesn't have kids, I'm watching it and just saying like, yeah, how can that not? And he deals with a lot of anger where like he snaps at his kids unprovoked because it turns out he's dealing with some stuff or some unresolved things, and like, you know, his parents frankly in the show remind me of my parents in a lot of ways. Bless him. But it is a great show, and it is something I'd be curious to see your perspective on, just because he has a son who's the older one and a daughter who's obviously the younger one, and I think it's incredibly well done as somebody who, again, just, is the male equivalent of Baron. Okay. But because of the extremes, I'm like, this looks like the realest show as opposed to like sitcom families and something like that, where I'm saying this seems like somebody just wrote their life. So I'd be very curious, and I was telling Ryan about it too. Like, I'd be very curious your take on it as somebody who's gone through. You know, your boys are young adults now.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to take a look.
Yeah, it's excellent.
One thing that I wanted to ask you about was, and this was a stumbling block for me as a man and as a husband and as a father, but just being on the same page as my wife sometimes. That was a challenge because.
Yep.
And we're very like-minded in many things, many respects. My wife and I, you know, Julia she's the smarter of the two of us.
Right.
And I don't say that
That's not self-deprecation.
No,
That's
it's
just,
not. It's. I mean, generally speaking, women are smarter than men.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And her instincts are more finely honed than mine. And she was much more like she took to motherhood much quicker than I took to fatherhood. And I am very much a part of my son's lives.
Right.
Even now.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, absolutely. I was there for like 3 a.m. feedings, you know, doing the diaper exchange, you know, that the reason why we had a second child is because Mitch was a breeze. Hit the first 6
This
weeks.
is easy. What's everyone complaining about?
Yeah, exactly. We're all idiots. No, I mean, he was as perfect a child as you could have. Like, almost like they flipped a switch. Like, you know, 6 weeks, like a timer went off. He started sleeping through the night. And we were like, holy fuck, this is awesome.
Right.
Didn't happen for me.
6 weeks. Boom. And we were like, hey, this is going to be great. And then
Let's
Daniel
do this
came
again.
along. Yeah, Daniel came along, and he didn't. He was a little colicky, and he was he had allergies. He had a lot of allergies. We found out he was allergic to Christmas trees. He was allergic. Yeah, we had to get a. That one took a little bit, like 2 years for us to figure out.
Right.
Because he was like, wah, wah, and we just thought it was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
house.
Right.
Like we had molds or funguses.
Yeah.
But sunflowers set him off, and we had not anymore because you outgrow this stuff.
Right.
But we were like, oh fuck. But getting back to the Julia thing, you know, staying on that same page with her it took work. It took work on my part, not so much for her, but for me.
To catch up. Yeah. And that was the way for me too.
Yeah.
You know, Jen took to motherhood, and she had the instinct for it, and I was kind of flailing at first, and I had a really hard time in the beginning. A really hard time.
They do. That is the.
Because it's a shock to your world. Like I mean, I spent the first 34 years of my life sleeping like a baby. You know, not having my sleep interrupted, and then, you know, several times a night now I'm having my sleep interrupted.
Yeah. 4 years.
I didn't deal well with that. Having to get up in the night and stay up in the night, and
Well, that's what women become
especially
mothers.
not knowing what to do. Like I don't know what this kid's crying about at this point. Like they have a dry diaper. They've been fed, like they've been sleeping. Like, what is the issue? I don't know.
But you figured it out, didn't you?
Eventually, yeah. But then now going through this all over again, I'm just kind of like, there are times where I'm like, why did I want to do this again?
But there are also times when you're like, this is like riding a bicycle.
Right.
This is
like we
At
know,
least I've done it already.
We know what to do.
At least I've done a version of this.
But you know, it was hard in the beginning. Like, you know, trying to, because I didn't have the instinct that she did for any of it. Really.
Well, women get a 9 month head start, though.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, the prevailing
they bond.
knowledge is.
Yeah.
Well, that's
They do
it.
that
Like
bonding.
women become a mother right away. Men become a father when the baby actually comes out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's
Right.
it's more shocking because now it's like, oh, this is real. I mean, as much as it's real when it's inside her tummy. Now it's like, oh, this thing's alive and I got to hold it. Meanwhile, they're good and hell well aware of how alive this thing is and that it's a presence.
I'll tell you, this was the scariest thing that had happened. Julia went into labor. Her water broke and called her doctor. And her doctor, her OB-GYN, was in Trenton. They were marching. They were doing something about malpractice insurance. They were pissed off, so they were marching in.
And this is your
my
first
friend.
son. This is your oldest.
This
First
is
time.
my oldest, yeah.
First kid.
And we're going
First
for
water
the-
break.
Yes, that's right. So we're going for all natural childbirth. We're doing the whole 9 yards. No epidurals, no nothing. So we go in. Actually, I time her contractions, and they're like 8 minutes apart. So we have plenty of time. So I make us some breakfast. Then they go down to 6, 5, 4, and then 3 minutes. They're like, take her in. So I did. And now here's the thing you may not know, but when her water breaks, they've got 24 hours to get the baby out.
Okay. That I didn't know.
Yes.
Because I've only seen it in movies
clock
where it's like the water's broken, get her to the hospital right now.
But Jules her timing was
Right, her
off.
contractions were still
And
far.
And if you're not far enough along, like even if you're having contractions, like you go to the hospital, they'll send you home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
what
they're
I've
like,
heard.
It's not ready
Like,
yet. Like go home and come back.
Right.
You know, when
Like,
they
go home and suffer.
closer together or whatever.
No beds
and I'm
for
like,
you
that's
here.
wild. Like, why can't I just stay here until this happens?
Yeah, like
Like,
this
we're
is
close.
inevitable. This
Yeah,
is happening.
We need the room.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, right?
I'm like,
Somebody
really?
has to die in that bed before you can
Yeah,
get
I heard that. I'm like, what do you mean? They just send
I mean, they
home?
send you home. A
So,
fully
Can I
pregnant woman.
stay?
Yeah, wicked pregnant, as they say in the Northeast.
so
and you're
we're
gonna send her
waiting,
home.
and they've got the fetal monitor on, and every time Jules has a contraction, the baby's heart rate dips, and I'm like, what? And you know, 'cause
Right.
they're like, all right, this is troubling, and our OB-GYN isn't there yet,
Right.
and the nurse is like, well, this is weird, and I'm like, well, could you see is there any way we can find out if the umbilical cord is wrapped around the baby's neck? Because if she's having a contraction, it would make sense that it's pulling, and if their heart rate dips, it's because they're losing oxygen.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what was happening. So they had to do an emergency C-section on her. So they like knocked me the fuck out of the way,
Yeah.
took her down. Doctor just got out of the car. They escorted her up, got her scrubbed up, and she did the C-section.
Right.
But talk about the most tense 15 minutes of my life,
Oh God.
Yeah.
because I could have lost my son and my wife.
Right.
Right.
And I'm like,
One
son
fell
of
swoop.
a bitch.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. So Jules was in recovery. I held the baby for the first time. Mitch was, we bonded because he's like looking at me and he's like, touching my face and stuff. And I'm like, holy shit. And that's when you know you're a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, I'm a dad.
Yep.
Yep. So, and then I took the baby and I shared him. So.
And then
you
she
gotta-
had to
you
bond
gotta
with
do
him,
that,
I
yeah.
guess.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
guess
with the
you get
C-section,
Yeah,
she
she
must
had-
have been doped up for that. I
Oh
mean,
my God,
a
yeah,
natural
she was-
childbirth's out the window when you have
No,
to do
she
a
was like,
C-section.
I want, because once the pain started hitting, she's like, I want an epidural. I'm like, okay, honey.
Yeah.
Can we get her an epidural? They're like, we're a little too long on that one.
So
Yeah.
did they let you stay in the room, or did they
No,
kick you out of the room
they
altogether?
kicked me out of the room and they
Okay.
took her down to the operating room.
Yeah, because I think that's I don't think you can just
So,
because
like,
they
we
want to
did
keep
two
it as minimal.
scheduled C-sections, and I was like there in the room. I couldn't see anything
Yeah.
because the curtain is up, but like
I would
you're thinking
want
like
to.
my
Good
wife's
God.
guts are like spilled out on the other side of
There,
this
yeah.
curtain, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
wouldn't
this-
want to be
But
in the room
she's,
if that
like,
was
she's
me.
if she's awake and she's looking at me and like
Yeah.
talking to me, and I'm like, and her intestines are out, like on,
Yeah,
on the other side of the curtain, and I'm
I
like,
could not. I remember
That I knew about.
Trying to
Veronica
get that out
told
of my
that
head,
story
you
about
know?
like having the C-section
Because
and
they're
like literally
you
seeing her
come over and
intestines.
see your son? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's-
and the
it-
doctors
wait.
are just, the doctors are doing this and they're just calmly chit-chatting.
Right.
And I'm like,
like, how
this
is-
is just Tuesday for them.
Yeah, this is normal. They
Right,
make
this
their
is
living
normal.
doing this.
Yeah.
They
Did I just
take-
hear a sports score? Like,
Right? Yeah, like they spread women open like
know?
like lobsters,
Yeah.
and crack them open, and it's like,
And it's just
what the fuck?
routine.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, this is wild.
yeah. Well, it's the same. Like
Yeah,
I thought
it's
about
so
that,
calm
like
and quiet while they're doing it. And
yeah, like the procedure, because I mean, like I know both our. I don't think it had a problem me mentioning it. Both our dads have had bypass surgery, and it's the thing I thought where I'm like, it's such a long process. Like they have to just be casually talking about stuff, but it's got to
Yeah.
be so weird. A person's chest is open and you're
Right.
just chatting about kind of whatever.
Yeah, they're just
It's that
looking at
normal. I'm like,
body
Well, I mean, it'd
parts
be-
in there, and they're just
It'd be different if they're
Yeah.
like smoking and like,
yeah.
Yeah.
fucked up.
yeah.
Well, they used to do that in the 50s, right?
Yeah, once upon a time. Yeah, exactly. Well, doctors were prescribing
Right in the
cigarettes
hospital.
back
They had
then.
a little hole in their mask, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what do you think? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, did you get any ash in there? Ah, it'll be fine.
How about them Yankees?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time. That was wild. Like, and I hear
I
them
could-
just,
yeah,
they're
I
just
could
calmly
not.
like talking about things that are not related.
I
to,
could not. I can't stand
know,
still in a phone
the
call. I
cut
couldn't
open body
possibly.
in front of them.
I could not. I could not be in the room.
Because
No.
we had a second.
Call me when it's over.
Scheduled second with Daniel, and
Oh,
it was,
okay.
it was like, I knew about the. I'm like, I'm not looking over there. I'm
Yeah.
Hey, you want to see
No.
the baby? No, no.
You're- yeah,
Clean
no.
it up and
Yeah.
we'll be good.
Yeah, because you're never going to get that image out of your head.
No.
Never.
No, and then
Never.
that's
You
that's
just,
just
you
done.
leave it to
I
the
mean-
imagination, and then you just block it out. after
Right.
that,
You know,
yeah.
to be honest with you, I hear that there are men who are like have ED from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Like
It has to imprint on
50
you.
or
because
60%.
it's-
of all men who
Yeah.
like, oh baby, and you've got your wife, and hey, even all natural childbirth when you're sitting there watching, little Slugger sliding out from home, you're like, holy shit, like
Yeah. That's not a recreation area anymore.
no, that's a slip and slide.
Yeah.
So, you're like, fuck.
I believe that. I believe it because how do you,
It has to have ruined a lot of dudes. Yeah.
I mean,
Little
it's
fucking
not
Houdini's
surprising.
coming.
Yeah.
And you're like, way to go. Dislocated your shoulder, huh? Good for you, buddy.
I can see that just because how can that not have some effect on you where it's completely, I don't know. I couldn't handle that anyway. I'd be like the very, very random reference, but there was a Popeye cartoon back 100 years ago, of course, where he's literally he's walking around the waiting room in the hospital, and he's worn the carpet is just completely worn out from him pacing around smoking his pipe, and I'm like, that would be me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If it happened,
Like,
I would have to wait outside and just be like, call me when it's done, when it's clean, when she's semi-lucid.
I thought
And
you were
then
going to
I'll
say,
show
there's
up.
this Popeye cartoon where he was railing
olive oil.
and, oh my God. I was like,
hard to imagine.
That's a holy shit, buddy. That's nuts.
No, yeah. So Popeye got ED after baby oil popped
Yeah,
out.
or VD. We're not really sure.
One of the D's.
Olive was an unclean woman.
Forget that. The man was in the Navy. I mean, any port in a storm is what
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah.
So who knows?
She was probably pretty unclean too.
Yeah, probably.
Why do you think they call me daddy poop deck pappy? I don't know.
Well, this conversation's taking a turn.
You want to talk about fatherhood? There's a good father.
The witching hour.
That's the range. For 15 minutes, I thought I could lose my wife and son, and now we're making dirty jokes about Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there is no show like Cape.
There is
No.
no show like this.
No, but yeah, that
I
was,
defy you to find range greater than this one.
That's true. And that,
Yeah.
that was fucked up because I remember I was like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. And lady came in. She's like, still here? You should go down there. Because there
Really?
was there was a recovery room. And she's like, you can go wait in the recovery room. Like, you're fine. I'm like, all right, thanks.
Oh,
'Cause
so
I
that
was-
was it. That was literally just
Yeah,
how you were
she's
informed.
fine.
Everything was
Yeah.
fine. She's like, you're
Yeah.
fine. Like, oh,
Yeah, everything's fine.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, thanks for the hand. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that would make it feel real to me just yet because
right.
having that comfort, just like she's
No.
fine. It's like,
No,
yeah.
when they put the baby in my
Well,
arms,
yes,
yeah,
that
I
must
was
have.
like,
That's the
okay.
only. Yeah.
And now the motherfucker's like 3 inches taller than I am. So
Yeah.
and it's like,
You're
Oh,
like
that's
that-
Ryan's nightmare.
You're like, that came out of my wife once
Yeah.
upon a time. Now he's bigger. He's bigger than me.
Yeah. Well, that's it. My
Yeah.
dad's 5'8" and I'm 6 feet. So, that's, I don't know if it's necessarily the fear. I mean, our friend Dan had talked about that. He's like, I hope my son's not taller than me because I don't want him kicking my ass. I was
Right.
like, oh, yeah. He's like, what are you going to do, old man? Is that your fear? That Shane's going to be taller than you? Has that
I
entered
mean,
your mind?
I almost expect it.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, maybe.
I don't have a lot of height going on
That's
here.
what I'm wondering. I don't know if that was a thought.
Yeah, it's a thought. I mean, I'm not overly concerned about it.
Right. Well, I mean, I know. And
I don't plan on like wrestling him, to the
Well,
death or anything.
Well, no, not eventually. Yeah.
At least I don't. At least
you
I
never
don't.
plan for
I-
that.
I don't think so.
But you always want to be prepared.
Ugh, I'm gonna have to lose some weight.
You want to have some weaponry on hand just in case.
Right.
Maybe start
Oh, my
depriving
God.
him some meals.
You'll talk to me later on. You
Okay.
got time.
Yeah.
We're good.
There's he's seen this already.
Yeah.
He's lived it. So
Just make them. They've got to be a little bit scared of you. That's
Yeah.
all.
a little bit.
And my children are very. They're not really scared of me because they know that Dad's bark is worse than his bite, and that was part of them growing up. Thank God they were such great kids, because I mean, yeah, I was mad dad for a little while, but it's they knew that it was that I'd take a bullet for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that has to be a degree of relief because I know people who won't admit their kids are assholes, but they know it. And
Right.
so it does have a roulette-like quality to it, obviously, as anything genetic does.
Of course.
So there has to be, at least in your part, because they're now basically fully formed, personality-wise and all of that. That you're just like, thank God they're not assholes. I mean, there has to be a relief in that.
Yeah.
where
Oh my
it's
God,
like,
yeah.
When they're
this could take a
grown
turn.
up and they turn out okay, and you're like, thank God they're not assholes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's something I realize parents
Then
probably
you've
don't
done
want to
your
admit.
job.
But again, I know people who like don't like their kids or like know their kids are assholes, but
Right.
they won't admit it to anybody else. But
Yeah.
they know it underneath it all, and that's got to be a relief to be like, oh, the kids are good.
Yeah,
Great.
Thank God.
That's a relief because that seems like the undisclosed fear.
And I
The
think
fear
that
that's
was
not talked
one of
about.
the biggest things that, because I was a hands-on dad, because I ended up going to like all of Mitch's soccer games. I was, I was one of the. We shifted off and on for who would, make breakfast, who would tuck him in. I was one of the very first faces they saw in the morning, and I was one of the very first or very last ones they saw at night.
So you were a constant presence.
Yeah, I wasn't like out for
Out
cigarettes.
partying.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Dad's always at work. I
Yeah.
never saw him. When I was
Yeah.
growing up, Dad was
one of the joys of my job is that whenever one of my kids got sick, I could bring him in with me. And Daniel, like I said, he was kind of croupy. I got to take advantage of that more with him. He'd come in, I'd make him a little nest, and I'd
good word
be
for
on
it.
the counter, and I would do my work right there. And he was just, sneezy,
Yeah.
coffee, whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was there, and if he needed anything, I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
And
And
that's awesome. I mean,
I think that makes
when you
the
can
difference.
do that,
Yeah.
right? And that's how your kids turn out okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. It
You know,
definitely.
my mom had this interesting theory with my brothers and I, and she said, "You pay now or you pay later." So when I was a kid, I was the first. I was the oldest of three boys. I was a nightmare. I was a fucking brat. Temper tantrums. Yeah, I still am. Okay,
I was
yeah,
a brat.
Yeah. All right, but when I tell this story,
yes, of
it'll
course.
make
I'm
more
sorry.
sense
Yeah,
to you.
I
Yeah,
just-
of course.
Yeah, I know. Listen, gotta bust your
But
balls a little
like
bit
I was,
just
I
'cause
was
you're here.
very, I was very adamant about what I wanted, and I was a lot of temper tantrums and screaming, and I had reflux, so I was throwing up like The Exorcist, like all over the place. So I was hard, and my brothers, they were both great babies, they were great, but then as we all grew, when my brothers got into their teens and their 20s, like they started to get in a lot of trouble, did a lot of stupid shit. But I was always the rule follower. I was always like the good kid. I was the smart one. I was, the one who, wasn't looking to get into trouble. I wasn't getting hurt all the time, So I, turned out, even though I was a nightmare when I was a small child, I turned out to be the level-headed one. Whereas my brothers were angel babies, and then they turned out, they're, that was a phase, obviously, but like during that time, my mom was like, "You pay now or you pay later with your kids. Like one or the other is going to happen." And I don't know if that's necessarily true of everyone. Some kids are just great in the beginning and they stay great, or some kids are assholes.
Yeah,
Stay assholes,
yeah,
and they
exactly.
Stay assholes, but I always found that to be interesting.
Yeah, it
that,
is
that
because
dichotomy.
I am finally, thanks to some pressure from my cousins, finally getting my parents to come in to do the show in the fall, doing one-on-ones, which would be great. But that's the thing they've always said. Like my sister and I were not difficult kids. We weren't kids who kept them up all night, which was weird. That it was, again, this is anecdotally. I don't know if they're necessarily going to get into it in more detail, but just saying like, no, the two of you were never like up all night or never had periods of, obviously as a newborn, that's a par for the course. But short labors. My mother was in labor with my sister for I think like 3 hours or something like that. And for me, she didn't even make it to the delivery room, which is her constant joke about me. It's just like, you haven't stopped moving since. You literally came into the world. You weren't waiting for anything, and you haven't stopped moving. And I just find that interesting because you don't hear that a lot. Usually it's like, well, one's easy and one's difficult. Or like the first one's just like, oh, this isn't so bad. Let's have another one. And then it's a complete 180 where it's a more difficult experience.
Right.
Although I did find it weird, and that's why it's interesting. I guess that's a product of the era. But yeah, like my dad never changed diapers or anything like that. And I get it because that wasn't, something that men did really.
I brought home the paycheck. You go.
But not. And I was kind of surprised because I'm thinking like, why would you not? But then I'm thinking, well, that wasn't an expectation at the time. There weren't dads who were going to be doing that in the in the early 80s. That wasn't kind of an expectation. That's become the evolved male, the evolved dad. And that's the kind of thing he does. So like you saying, that's what I did. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense.
If we had Christian behind the board, I'd make him pull up like the Anjali perfume commercial, which was I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan. You know,
I'll just insert it in the show.
But it's that's like the 60s and 70s in a nutshell. It's like I bring home the bacon.
You raise the kids.
You raise the kids. You do. Yeah. I bring home
the kids
the
are
money.
Your fault.
Exactly.
You did this.
My dad and I didn't bond till I was like 10 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
And define bond, meaning like he didn't but beyond your name, he didn't know you, kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he did, but you know, there were 6 of us.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was like there's a 5-year gap between me and my closest sibling.
Oh wow. So
yeah.
If you don't mind, were you planned, or
No,
were you just an afterthought? Okay.
My mom was 39 when she had me, so I was like, surprise! You know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, like right before menopause, baby.
Right.
So
Call that advanced maternal age.
yeah,
Yes.
and to be honest, back like when I was born, it was a 50-50 shot whether or not I was going to be born, you know, with problems.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, because
challenge.
that was a thing with age at the time.
Yeah.
Now there's
Yeah.
women having babies 10 years later in life.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
it's kind of common.
I mean,
but
it's kind of insane, but yeah, and but I mean, it's my father was like, all right, whatever,
Just hands off.
Yeah, see you later.
Until you were 10.
He was a doctor. He went to work at like 7:30 in the morning. Came home at 6 o'clock at night, and see you later. And on weekends he'd go out golfing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, and that seems to be another thing, which it's interesting you bring that up because that's something I've kind of noticed in just humans, period, where it seems like you had that as your example and you decide to go in the other direction. It seems like people go in the opposite direction or they just end up mirroring the same kind of behavior.
True.
It seems like very few end up being somewhere in the middle. Do you think did you consciously or subconsciously, you think, take a cue from that and saying, I'm going to be present?
Yeah, no, that was
think
part
that
of
was-
the bargain I made when I married my wife. You know, she's like, I left the food service industry because she's like, I want a husband who, when we have a family, is going to be present for him. You know, I don't want to not see you at Christmas.
Right.
I want to not see you at Thanksgiving. I want you here with me.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It's not too much to ask.
No, that was
No,
fair.
but a necessary discussion that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah,
lot of
they
couples
don't.
who don't talk about that shit
No.
until they're already married and have kids, and
Yeah.
that's when trouble starts.
Exactly.
So
Or
that is
a woman says, I don't want to have children. Like, well, that sucks because I sure do.
right.
It's like, well, then get the fuck out and find a.
Yeah. It's always shocking to me when people kind of don't have those discussions.
Yeah.
Where I don't know.
It's like I thought we were on the same page. Well, you thought wrong.
Yeah,
didn't you?
like you have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
It's important. You have to be on. Yeah, like seriously.
and often.
And if that's a deal breaker, then you're not right for each other. And move on.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
You can't get to that point where it's time and nobody discussed this.
And then
prior.
exactly. It's shocking how much of that stuff kind of goes uncommunicated.
Jules and I got married in 2000, and Mitch wasn't born till 2003, and we had been trying.
Yes,
and it
you
was
mentioned this.
very difficult for us to, Jules just wasn't catching, and I was gonna have to go and, always fun to jerk off in a Dixie cup because,
Well,
so I
Sock.
didn't have to. Thank
sleeve
God.
your favorite jacket.
But
You're welcome, Ryan. Because you were taking a sip, I had to throw in a basketball reference.
Goes home,
I
does
had
some
to.
push-ups.
Yeah. Fuck the sleeve of his favorite jacket.
What?
That's like,
Nothing. I'm just saying.
oh my God.
sorry, you were having a tender open moment,
No, no,
and I had to
no.
fuck it
Way
up
to
by
go.
dropping a reference.
Way to go.
But we had talked about having children, and when the time was right, we were going to do it, and the time was right. Like 20 minutes after we got married, we were like, let's just rather. So no, it was like about a year.
Right, which makes sense.
So
It's typical, I should say.
we didn't catch for like 2 years, and we were talking about it. We were like, could we be as happy as a couple with no children. And we decided we could. We could also adopt. We were talking about other things, and then boom.
Right.
And it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you let your guard down and you're like, whatever will be, will be.
Yeah.
That's when boom.
Yes.
And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep.
But
And was it the same with, you mentioned this back, if anyone wants to go back to Cape 197, Mike talked about that in a bit of detail, which was fun because I thought if it wasn't the first show of 2022, I was going to cut a serious trailer and just be like, this year, Cape gets serious, because it was that, and Ming was talking about reconnecting with one of his friends from childhood who went to a con in Michigan, and I'm like, can I cut a serious trailer and make it seem like the show's taking a turn? I played with it, but then I'm like, nah, it's going to throw people off. Nope. Anyway, Cape 197, if you want to check out Mike getting into some more detail about that, it was great.
Oh, thank you.
So was there any problem whatsoever then with your second son, with your younger son?
No,
or
no,
that just,
no.
it's like,
Actually,
it took, there was no trying or...
2.5 years, and we weren't, we were of the mind that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Right.
And it did. It was just, boom, it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And smooth sailing.
It's interesting, when the pressure's off, and that's
And
it.
I've had friends that's happened to, where they were, gearing up for IVF or already in it, and it was just, and even that wasn't working, and then they threw their hands up and they're like, "Fuck it," literally. And then and then it happened.
We've unfortunately known a lot of
ready
people
to just give up, and then
yeah.
And
then but that's
two
it.
or three friends that happened to, where there's
When you ease off the gas,
yeah,
and then
they
it
don't
happens.
know what to do,
Because
or there's nothing else we can do.
A lot of it's up here. A lot of it's psychological, and you're like, well, you're killing your swimmers, That's pretty much it.
Totally.
And, or stop fucking the sleep
Favorite jacket. Or that, I guess.
Yeah, that's another solution.
Yeah, I'm not willing to do that. That's why I don't have kids. But
boy.
I,
Hey, you're upfront and honest about
listen,
it.
I have the intellectual honesty to say that's the reason what it, listen, this awesome leather is, now I'm just kidding. People are like, that's why he's always wearing that fucking jacket.
It's
literally.
rich and Corinthian.
Yes.
Yeah.
And smooth. Anyway, well, hard to recover from that. Let's talk about something else. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, have you noticed any differences? I mean, again, I realize your son is essentially still a newborn at this point, but any drastic, outside the disappointment that you can't reuse clothes, but any difference that you can tell between having, a newborn girl, newborn boy, at least in your experience? Has there been any stark difference as far as
not terribly?
No.
Like
I say that out of curiosity. I don't know.
I'm
not trying to prompt you.
Diaper changes to be different, where like I'd get peed on a lot, but that's really only happened a couple of times, and it didn't go very far.
Right.
So that was a relief to me, because I'm like,
this isn't like in the movies at all.
They're gonna rocket it all over the place, and I'm gonna get peed on all the time. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because with a girl, she pees while you're changing her diaper, it's just gonna dribble out. Like,
exactly.
It's not.
There's nothing to aim with.
It's not a laser. And but that hasn't happened really
much
at all. So that's been a relief. But he's got reflux and a dairy allergy. So I gave him the reflux. I guess thanks, Dad. Right?
Yeah.
For that.
And
we
all got our genes
Jen,
from someone. Yeah.
I don't have the patience for the vomit anymore. And Jen's like, he's got reflux. What do you want from him? I'm so fucking over being vomited on. I'm so over it. And it's constant. Like, I have to change my shirt constantly. I have to change him constantly. I pick him up and he seems fine, and then it's just like, bleh.
You need to have your show shirts like I do.
Yeah, right.
You gotta have hangers with your show shirts.
And I'm like,
so
I'm so over it. And my patience is just gone with it. Like, I'm so tired of being.
I mean, obviously, it's not his fault,
I
but
know
it's
not
still,
his fault,
of
but
course.
I'm like, and it smells so bad. Even if you're able to like wipe it up immediately,
Of course,
the shirt still just it's vile.
Yeah.
It's just formula, but it smells.
But it's
so
hard to be
horrible.
neutral about that.
Yeah.
I mean, to have just no feeling at all. It's just
And
like,
I'm
it's still vomit.
And
Okay, I know it's not his
Riel
fault.
would spit
but
up like here and there, but it wasn't anything crazy. But he's
it was
just
a pedestrian amount of
yeah.
vomit. Whereas with him,
I'm
story.
so over it.
I got you. Yeah, no, believe me, I get it.
how do they figure out like a dairy allergy though in like a
There's
6-month
test,
old?
like,
Is it really?
There's a stool test that they can do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have them on like a specialty formula, which luckily our insurance covers.
Oh wow, that's a huge relief.
Because that
yeah,
shit would
Jesus.
be like $80 a week.
Oh my
just for his
God.
formula.
Oh my
Yeah, just formula and diapers,
Yeah.
seeing what they
So
are.
we-
I'm like,
we-
Jesus Christ.
In a way, we got lucky with that, but it's hopefully one of those things that he'll grow out of.
Yeah.
Dairy allergies, they say most kids grow out of it when
Right.
they have it that young. But yeah, that's the sticking point for me is the vomit.
Is the vomit.
Like, I can't,
It's like, yeah.
I can't do it.
I feel like that's a line, though, for
Yeah.
people, period, just because it's vomit. Again,
and
not
he's
his fault.
And he's not like upset. He's not like screaming when he does it. He's happy. He's just like, you know.
Yeah, because it's normal for him
And then
now.
he like smiles at me. I'm like, you little fuck. Like,
Yeah.
you just vomited all. It's like down my leg. I'm holding him on the floor, and I'm like,
You're like, God, you have to be
I
adorable when you do
I
this.
just
Like, come on.
changed, you know.
And then the
Because he
dog comes
vomited.
over and is
Yeah.
like, hey, what's
Yeah.
going on?
The, dog,
It's like,
the
"Oh,
dog's licking it off the
motherfucker."
carpet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you're kidding.
Oh, well, I can't have
Yeah.
you licking my face.
Like
now,
you're
bruiser.
disgusting.
Yeah, right.
But
like-
handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well,
Yeah.
you're saving me a
Well,
step.
yeah,
so
clean that up.
Thanks, I guess.
Yeah, if you want to be gross.
But
Sure. Better you than me.
Yeah.
one of us is cleaning it up.
Right. Better than me.
Looks
looking
like
it
it's
up.
you, buddy.
So I'm hoping that's a phase that dies
Yeah.
rather quickly.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm-
That sounds
I'm-
like.
I'm done with it.
And see, I haven't experienced that, and that's why it's fun for me
Mm.
when I've come to your house because I'm just like, they're kids and they're fine. But
Yeah.
I also have the satisfaction of knowing I can go home and not have to worry about any of
Right.
it. I don't need to put him through
And-
college. I don't need to
And
clean
he
up.
Scotch guarded almost all of his clothes. So.
Basically,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, make sure you do that. You know, hold this kid because
Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap myself in bubble wrap when I come
Right.
over. I mean, just for the sake of being secure.
it's terrible.
Saran. Yeah, just to make sure.
It's like,
Like,
he's just a baby. He's got reflux. What do you want from him? I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't-
over being thrown up.
What
on.
do I want from him?
I want him to knock
I
his
want
shit
him,
off.
I want him to stop fucking throwing up. That's what I want.
I would really like for him to start eating some solid
So
foods.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
We've started.
chicken sandwich
we've
would be
started
nice?
that. Yeah, no chicken sandwiches yet. but
No,
Yeah, we're
Oh,
on
it's
to
coming.
we're on to baby food.
That's
your nuggets. You're gonna be sharing nuggets with him soon.
Well,
No, don't do-
Now you'd think,
I would.
but Brielle
Yeah.
wanted nothing to do with chicken nuggets.
Really?
She was the only kid in the world that I've ever heard of that would not eat chicken nuggets.
That's awesome.
It was
Still?
like pulling teeth.
It's awesome.
My kids at
I'm like, what kid
8.
doesn't like fucking
I
chicken
mean, well, you're a
nuggets?
chef. It's different for you.
Yeah.
that,
Like-
actually that's part of the problem with
Like
my
Ryan
kids.
can cook anything.
My kids were
cook.
actually Daniel wouldn't eat anything. Daniel wouldn't eat shit.
Really?
Plain. That was his thing.
Huh.
He wanted plain rice and plain chicken, not breaded chicken, just chicken. Mm-hmm. And
No
Mitch-
season.
No.
Salt and
no,
pepper's
no
too
salt-
much?
No.
Wow.
Damn, that's
Sauces?
boring.
No. Very boring.
Eat clean, bro.
Yeah,
He was paleo before it was a thing, man.
That's right, motherfuckers.
It's ahead of the curve.
So, but Mitch had a more,
Diversified palate.
yes, I was gonna say a more exotic palate.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, he would eat if one New Year's, they wanted to find out what caviar tasted like, so we got caviar, and they're like, "This isn't good. We don't like this." And I'm like, "I spent a fucking $100,
Yeah.
so you could taste caviar. You're gonna fucking eat that shit. If you vomit it up, I don't care."
Yeah.
Then you're gonna eat that.
Yeah. We bought it. You're eating it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
wanted this. Remember?
Yeah.
You asked for it.
Yeah.
You want oysters? That no, that
God.
all excuse.
I love
Yeah.
oysters.
Me too. My kids do not.
Love
but
oysters.
actually, now they're starting. Actually, Daniel now is his palate is getting more and more refined, and Mitch, like I said, always more of the exotic. He's like, yeah, I'll taste some of that. Pâté de foie gras, sure, I want
Whoa.
some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the coolest things about like cooking for my kids because we swore up and down that we would never cook like 14 meals.
Right.
Like we would
We're not going to be a restaurant,
right.
That's what my parents told me, and then we're like, it's not a restaurant. Like, you're not going to eat.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
what you want every night. Yeah. It was never that way in my house. Either.
When we were newlyweds, we would go over to people's houses like, all right, well, here's Brandon's food. Here's,
Yeah, that's wild to
here's
me.
little Edgar's, and I'm like,
Right.
the fuck?
Everybody
Yeah.
gets their own entree. What
Yeah.
is this?
Like
Yeah,
kids,
seriously.
kids learn what they like. They, with Brielle, when we were just starting to feed her real food, there was a phase for about 6 months where she would eat anything because she's new to actual food. And
Yeah,
everything
so
is
it's
just
all-
awesome to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then slowly but surely things started to drop off. We'd feed her like the Gerber meals that had like spiral pasta and like little turkey and then the vegetables, and she would always eat the vegetables and like leave the rest of the stuff. I'm like, okay, at least she's eating vegetables, great. And then that started to flip, and then she wants nothing to do with vegetables now. And like all those things that she would eat would start to drop off. She won't eat meat of any kind.
Huh.
I mean, she'll eat like hot dogs now once in a while, but she doesn't like chicken.
Ass meat is what she's eating.
Yeah, right,
That's it. She won't eat
I
actual
mean,
cuts of meat.
But like watching that happen, like watching it develop, and like, this is awesome. She'll eat anything and everything, and then
it passed, and then you're
everything,
like, damn it.
everything, everything dropped off, and now it's just basically mac and cheese everywhere she goes.
My father told me never worry about. They will figure out what they need,
right?
And they will have a craving for it, and they will ask for it.
Yeah.
So I was like,
so it's one of those things you got to pick your battles with. And like, all right, the kid's eating, like, she's alive, she's steadily gaining weight, like the way she's supposed to when she grows.
Right,
like,
right.
Okay, if it's mac and cheese and French toast sticks for breakfast, like,
for now,
whatever.
fine.
For now,
Right.
But
yeah,
this shit's not gonna last.
If she looks like Jabba the Hutt at like 12, then you got a problem.
then we got a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll catch it before then.
Yeah.
And something will taper off. As long as, you know what, you were talking about the sugar. The sugar, I never really had a sweet tooth. And sugar was never like an enemy of mine. But I mean, now I got to a certain age, and I'm like, I had my last blood test, and they're like, you're pre-diabetic. I'm like, fuck you.
I didn't even get to enjoy this once upon a time. Now you're telling me I can't. Now I want it.
No, exactly.
Yeah, now I want to suck up a pound of gummy bears.
But part of that is just the shit that we eat these days.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Everything's got corn syrup in it.
Oh my God, it's disgusting.
Everything's got soy in it.
Of course.
You can't avoid, and all that shit goes through your liver.
Yeah.
All of it. So it's
they're
that's
like,
why I'm trying to back off the sugar. That's why I'm drinking lightly sweetened liquid death sparkling water.
Fatty liver. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that was another thing that got me to lose weight in this whole thing. For me, because I'm just like, I'm in my early 30s. This shit's supposed to be happening yet? That's what Ryan and I have talked about. Recently.
Now
Just like,
that you're 40,
you believe
you're
this?
going to be seeing some other shit, and you're going to have colonoscopy coming up. That's always something fun.
Yep.
I would recommend doing that sooner rather than later.
They're saying people are getting it younger and younger.
You should.
Well,
So a lot of people in their 30s are getting colon cancer now.
We talked about
They
this.
didn't used to see it until 50s, sometimes even later.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
But I see article after article now. Like get checked early.
Early detection is
because of the shit that we eat. And
of course.
Our sedentary lifestyles
and it's also because
family history doesn't even mean shit when it comes to this.
Yeah, lifestyle seems to be a bigger influence.
Consider this. Back in even as close as like the 60s or 70s, hemp. Hemp was growing wild, and cows fed on it when they were free-range cows.
Right.
And
when that was the standard.
Yeah.
When animals roamed free.
Yeah, when they roamed
before they got
free.
slaughtered.
And I'm talking
for our nursery.
just up to like the 1970s. And now, pardon me, seeing more dairy allergies, peanut allergies.
Yeah.
It's because, hemp is taken out of you take one thing out of the ecosystem and you fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peanut allergies were never a thing, even when I was a kid.
Right.
No.
There might have been like one, in the school.
There's one kid
but
in
now
the school.
It's, right.
And he was
a
weird-looking kid who nobody wanted to sit with.
There's that one
anyway.
kid with the peanut allergy, but now it's like it's
now it's
everywhere.
rampant.
Like,
now it's
rampant.
common.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It's
And I
crazy.
don't
Just
believe
the
that it's
spectrum
just
of
better
allergies.
diagnosis. Like I don't buy that. Like
No, there's
it's a
something's
thing
gone
now,
on.
like it
In the
wasn't
same
then.
way, I feel like a lot of things, and this isn't me making some kind of statement about it, but in the same way, like we've known a lot of people who've had to go through IVF, unfortunately. And the idea of and again, I don't think it's a diagnosis thing, but the idea that there's it seems to be a lot more kids on the spectrum now, and that all these allergies are popping up. You can't help but think that there is a lot to do with diet and hormones that are in us that are then passed on to kids and that are unhealthy in some way. It's hard to not look at that and say, okay, what has changed? Oh, right, industrial. I mean, we talked about it ages ago. We watched a bunch of food documentaries and talked about diet like 2011 or 12. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And even just the idea of like looking at, cows like, well, yeah, cows used to be free range and they used to eat grass, but now they're penned up and they're being fed corn all the time. It's like, well, you think that's going to have an
Standing in
effect
their
on the
own
quality
shit.
of your
Yeah.
beef? Of course it will.
Right.
That seems kind of obvious. And it feels like all the stuff's having an effect, not this isn't a scientific statement, but it's
Something's
hard
amiss.
to, exactly. It's hard to think like, well, how is this not a factor? Because our diet has gotten so fucked up.
In Japan, they can eat raw chicken. They can actually
But would you want to? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
There's chicken sashimi.
Really?
They wave it like in boiling water for about 30 seconds, and then they take it out and they eat it.
Huh.
Because there's not all the salmonella, there's not all the bacteria,
Right,
there's not
right.
all that. They're not constantly in their own filth.
Right.
So
Right.
Interesting.
Japan is very, very economical in their ways.
Right.
So you're looking at that and you're like, wow, they've got a lot, and they've got, population-wise, it's insane over there. You would think that their chickens would be even worse than ours, but they're not. They're standards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here, not so much.
No standards. Profit's the standard.
Not so much.
Not nearly as much.
No.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
scary because you think like, what am I going to be in for? Just,
Oh God,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Even if you think you clean up your diet, but you still don't know what's in the healthy stuff.
Well,
you
yeah.
know?
That's it. I mean,
Where it came from, like what's in it, what were the animals being fed? you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
what was
my-
being sprayed on the fields.
I'm beyond the point of like trying to get off any of my medications. I mean, I'm on a low dose cholesterol pill. I'm on a fairly mild blood pressure pill as well. Like even though everything's gotten better, my weight is way better than it has been.
Yeah.
It's my
still
doctor's
can't
not
leave
so
it unchecked,
confident.
you
Well,
know?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm taking one pill in the morning for blood pressure and then
it doesn't
a
get
pill
any-
at night cholesterol, I'm just like, it's having zero effect on my daily whatever. You know,
Right.
it's not having any side effects or anything
Yeah.
like that. So I'm fine with taking it because I'm also genetically predisposed anyway. Italian
too.
genes, blood pressure, and cholesterol are like are known
and I'm on
known
that pill.
troublemakers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm on that pill too, and I'm probably going to have to be for the rest of my
Yeah,
life.
and
I just
yeah,
made peace
and
with
I
it.
get
got
it.
cholesterol, so yeah.
But it also seems inevitable. It seems like everybody has to deal with it because that's
Yeah.
just biologically when you start breaking down, it kind
Yeah.
of makes sense.
But you think like, oh man, I was in my mid 30s and I was seeing a cardiologist for the first time. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
It's weird, right?
Like I shouldn't be
Yeah,
here
same.
yet. You know?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
You know?
But having said that, you brought up the colonoscopy. So we talked about it in the Halloween live show. Like we should just do it as like a party. Like we'll all schedule it one morning. And we'll do like a live stream of, pre-gaming the night before where we're flushing ourselves out. We're all going to hang out because it's something that apparently Tom Hanks, Steve Martin, and Martin Short do.
Okay.
They all basically have a big sleepover the night before and they all go in for the procedure in the morning. I was like, that sounds like a great time. Aside from it's got to be a blast hanging out with the three of them.
Of course.
Like
yeah.
just to be a fly on the wall would be fun. But I'm like, we should do that.
Yeah.
Why not make it
And
a show?
I'm going to ask my gastro doctor. Like,
Yeah?
if we can do one. Yeah.
I do need to go have a follow-up.
It's like,
for
look,
my
I'm almost 40.
esophagus
Like
issues.
they're saying people are getting this now.
Yeah.
Like why wait another 5 years? Like
Well, and that's it.
that seems crazy to me the way based on the stuff that I'm hearing. Like no,
Yeah.
I'd rather just do it now.
It's just roulette. It's just with genetic
Even if you
roulette.
don't have
and,
any symptoms,
everything
like
else.
I mean, sometimes.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
You find
It's-
out that you have cancer and it's already stage 4 before you even felt anything. It's-
Exactly. So why not at least try? Well, that's it. And even when it comes to health and all that, that's what I've been saying for a while. You have to be your own advocate.
Right.
You
when it comes
do,
to that.
but by the same token, it's like, how much is that going to cost you?
Well, that.
Yeah.
That's
How much is
insurance
that
hoops you
out
need
of
to jump
pocket?
through.
Yeah.
Is another.
Is it out of pocket, or are you, because they're like, we'll see you in 10 years. I'm like, I'll probably see you before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's not going to be another 10 years.
That's very, very optimistic for you
Yeah.
to say you're not going to see me for 10 years,
Yeah.
but probably not.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to believe that that's true.
Yeah.
But I'll be back here 3 to 4.
Right.
Yeah, most likely. It's weird, man.
Yeah.
It is getting older.
Yeah, it sucks.
I don't know. And then having to raise kids on top of it sounds exhausting.
God, let's not do that.
Hence why we're not that we've referenced it at all. Hence why we're doing a show in a dungeon, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
We're in the dungeon.
Like, yeah, Mike's call. It's like, hey, you've
I
been the
liked
parent
it. I
longest.
thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah,
It's like we could have gone with another video game level like last year, Cape 206, 207.
I mean, I thought it
maybe
went
both.
with the table.
It kind of does. This looks
Yeah.
like you can draw and quarter
Looks like it
somebody
would
on
be
here,
in
right?
In a dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing little D&D here.
You're drawing and quartering someone right on the table.
Yeah.
Right after we.
This looks like a well-worn
right
Check
after we-
table.
out his booper.
Right after we cut the cameras.
That's right. This may be, there may be colonoscopy action, hot colonoscopy action happening following
That's
the
for
show.
the Patreon.
Hot
May be.
colonoscopy summer.
Or the OnlyFans, depending. We'll see.
Those guys.
I mean, we're that's right. It's going to be guys.
There's
Who
a
else
market
would
for
subscribe?
everything. Yeah.
Of course,
It's going to be guys. No women are like, oh, I want to see that.
There's a fetish for everything.
There is.
Not for women, though. They're like, I don't do shit like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
somebody does, but they're probably being treated
That
in the
actually-
facility.
Let's end on this note because this will be
Please
fun.
do. Go ahead.
The difference between a kink and a fetish.
Okay.
By your definition, not
Okay.
not by Funkin' Wagnall
Okay.
or
I
by
think-
Merriam-Webster.
I think a kink could be. I don't know what is considered ordinary, but I would say kink might be something that would generally be considered out of the ordinary. A fetish, I would think, is something that could be like an unhealthy addiction. That's just my definition of it.
Okay.
I'm thinking like kink is
kink
entry
might
level.
be a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little off
Kink
the
is a
beaten
little
path.
a little weirder. Where
But fetish is like, I need this.
You got like your common fetishes, like foot fetishes,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. Where it's like you've heard of it. It's
Or
seems probably
dress up
normal
like an
enough
anime character, shit
right,
like
or,
that. Yeah, it seems
furry
like a
shit,
kink.
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you've heard of it. It seems normal enough in the world of fetishes.
Sure.
But a kink seems to be something like, you don't really talk to anyone about it until, maybe there's that one person who you think might understand.
I mean, no, that's what I'm like. Kink
Like,
seems
it's
like
weird
something.
and you never mention it to anyone.
Fetish seems more elaborate than kink.
Yeah.
A kink is like, I want you to put, a 4th of July sparkler in my ass.
Yeah.
What, like
Right.
that's all right.
I've
That's
never
a kink.
told anyone this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now that we're
Yeah.
this person's been
yeah,
married
but you're-
23
yeah,
years. You
so,
tell
yeah.
us. No, I'm
Right.
kidding. But wow, I actually have a filter. I just realized that. I was
There
going to
you
stop
go.
and
That
ask
was
a
good.
question and I
Yeah.
didn't do it.
Wow.
God damn.
Wow. Look at
Cape
you.
is evolving.
Is it
or
though?
I am. I almost said something,
Is
and
it?
I'm glad I didn't. Anyway, that will also be for the OnlyFans. But yeah, that's what I think. I think kink is something that is more easily accessed, and a fetish requires more energy in my mind.
that you're both like almost spot on. Because
Okay.
I had to do a little bit of. I was talking to my wife about this, and I'm like, you know what? Because
What a conversation.
Yeah, I know.
well, married 23
Thank you for
years.
bringing
I was
it in.
talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah, what
this.
else are we going to talk about?
I mean, yeah, at this point, there are probably very few areas unexplored,
Right.
if we're being honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, we
you've
did
been
our-
married for 7. So
We did our
you're partway there.
colonoscopies, like a week apart. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not a lot of unexplored. No, we were talking about that, and I asked her the same thing, and she said, well, and here's what it boils down to. A kink is something that is a little bit out of the out of the ordinary, a little bit. It's something that it's a turn on. That's
Right.
That's essentially what it is. It's a turn on that's not, missionary or,
Yeah,
it's a
something-
little more exotic, a little more on the, a
a little more exploratory.
exactly. And a fetish is something that it.
You got to burn lots of calories to
Yes,
to get to accomplish.
And maybe
fetish-
it's more consuming.
That's
And
what I'm
it's-
saying. Like almost unhealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, in my
maybe,
mind,
maybe has
anyway,
an effect on your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it actually it is necessary for you to achieve orgasm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I need this to turn me on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like that requires a lot.
I need spanking, or I need S&M, and you're gonna
Yeah.
take that. You're gonna take that right out of fucking context. I need spanking. There you
That's
go.
gonna open the trailer. Is gonna be I need spanking.
I need spanking, and
You guys should be so happy I don't do drops on this show because imagine.
and fucking the sleeve of my favorite shirt. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I wish I came up with that, but that was from basketball.
I know.
Unfortunately. But
I know
okay.
where it's
Well,
from.
That's what a great line.
it is a great line. Well, that's why. There's been we're at this point 13 years deep where basically when Ryan's taking a drink, usually whenever he's in
gotta-
mid-sip of something,
he's
I
gotta
say
crack
something
something
that
out
tickles
that he
his
knows
funny
is gonna
bone.
get me.
And I don't do it on purpose. So now
you
I
do.
try to make a point. No, I don't.
You
Okay.
absolutely do.
I'll just say it's 50-50. But in that case, I was like, not only was the opportunity there to make that reference, but it was perfect because you were like
Yep.
mid-chug.
Yeah.
I was like, I had to do
And
it.
you knew
I have
that
to
line
go
would
for
get
it.
me because it's hilarious.
Right, but in the moment, totally appropriate.
like who fucks the sleeve of their jacket?
I mean, somebody does. Again,
That's somebody's
that's a
fetish.
kink.
Yeah.
That's a kink.
Joe Cooper.
Because that's
it is
accessible,
actually a kink.
and you don't even need another person. So I look at that as
Yeah.
being a kink.
Yeah.
Because that's a solo endeavor,
Like how good could
and you
that
probably
feel?
have a jacket.
How
so
tight
it's not like
is
I
the
need to
sleeve
go.
of the, how tight is the sleeve of this jacket?
I don't know.
Doesn't
So
have to
maybe if you got a cock like this, maybe you don't need to worry about it. I don't know.
Well, we
I mean,
saw later
weird,
in the movie, you know.
But yeah, exactly.
Long wanger, throbbing cock.
Excellent movie, underappreciated '90s comedy. Well, once again, we've covered it all. We somehow managed to just talk about everything in the course of an episode on this show. Sometimes it's inspirational, sometimes it's not.
That's true.
And talked a little bit about fatherhood, dropped a little bit of knowledge. Well, at least the two of you did. I just kind of, most of the time, was a mannequin, sitting here, spinning in my chair, just being a little ADHD. But otherwise, yeah. But a lot of information to be shared. And it was awesome. And if you want more of this information, there's loiterers outside. It's just like, is that like security? They're like, you get out of here. It's like, what are these guys doing in here? Anyway,
Cock the hammer.
if you would like.
Cock the... Did that throw you off?
No.
So sorry.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's fun. That's why it's. But again, I'm thinking like, what am I going to use for the episode trailer? That's why I can't help it. Anyway, for more misadventures from these two gentlemen, you can follow Mike and Michael Zapcic on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, visit Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, 65 Broad Street, Red Bank, New Jersey.
The hell's the matter with you?
Yeah, go
Get
in there
down here.
and tell him how tipping is a bad idea. Please go in there and get in his
Yes.
face about it.
Oh, yeah, please
He
do.
would love to argue with you.
Yeah. that'd
Oh
be
my
great.
God.
Thank
And
you.
then
Come
he'll
again.
kick you out of the store.
Yeah, exactly. And if this
Never in-
if this conversation ends up in the inevitable Clerks 4, I would not be surprised at all. At least a walk on
How
is
about
all
an-
I'm saying.
How about an associate?
Ooh.
See, but and now that
Nice.
that movie or my face in the movie? That's a good question. I mean, all right. Well, you were in. Would you rather have had an associate producer credit than be in it?
Not like being in it.
Okay. That presence on camera rather than just have my name because who reads the credits anyway?
That's damn straight.
Yeah, be in it. It seems like, that seems like a conversation to be had between Randall and what's his nose? Who's the kid who works there again?
What's
Now.
his nose?
Yeah, I completely forget. Oh my God, Elias. That's it.
Elias,
I
yeah.
completely spaced on that in the moment. I'm like, what's his name?
I wasn't helping you out.
Well, I know. Thanks, Mike.
You got to learn, boy.
I do, yeah. See, that's another lesson from fatherhood. That's right. Let him sit there and sweat on camera. Wow.
He'll get it.
That's right. And for some hot beer and toy action, you can follow Ryan at Honey I Drunk the Beers on Instagram and Hot Toy Time Machine, where one of them's about beer and one of them's about toys. Leave you to figure out which one is which.
Yeah.
And possibly TikTok. We'll find out. Maybe. Probably not. You follow him on Twitter, Tagsonian as well. That's like Smithsonian, but with a T-A-G-G instead of a Smith. So there you go. Yeah. It's not a museum. It's just a Twitter account.
Not, yeah.
Big deal. And at the rate he uses it,
Yeah.
if current rules apply, it'll get removed anyway.
Don't even follow me.
And I will register
Yeah.
it because why not? If that handle becomes available again, you goddamn sure. There was a point. This is again apropos to nothing, but there was a point when I remember talking to you and Jack and Andrew about. This is probably 10 years ago or maybe 2014. It may have been we were still doing the only podcast or while it still existed. And I remember saying, because I'd bought ChrisAballo.com, which was the home of Cape initially. I mean, obviously it was on iTunes and all that, but still, I just registered my name and I said, hey, you guys should probably just buy your names as a .com because you never know. Why not just own it? Because, at a point when someone recognizes you, someone's going to buy it. Someone's going to buy RyanTaggart.com. Like you should just.
There are a lot
buy
of
it.
Ryan Taggarts out there. You'd be surprised.
Well, exactly. So it might already exist. So anyway, I remember ultimately none of you did it. And I was toying with the idea of like, I should buy all their websites.
yeah, it would be you fucker.
It would be. So that's
Yeah.
why if Tagsonian becomes available on Twitter, if you stop tweeting in this like inactive accounts that have been inactive for 30 days, if that comes to pass, I'm totally registering Tagsonian. And I will just, have it auto tweet. Tape stuff because why not? Just so I own it. But I did play with that for a little while. Not that I was going to have it. I probably would have just had it forward to my website. I wouldn't have actually done anything.
Right.
It would have been really funny though to have like, the Ryan Taggart bestiality site or something, just for kicks. I mean, everything's pixelated, so who's to know?
God, I
but
hate you.
Yeah. But it would have been fun, is what I'm saying. And if you want fun
I'm
like
sure
that,
it would have been so much fun.
it would have been so much fun. It would. I would have run out of energy for it. You can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Chris Aballo, on Instagram at Chris Sells Out, and follow the show at Cape Pod on all the socials. I keep forgetting, by the way, there is a Facebook page, and I don't have a link to it anywhere. But if you feel compelled to look it up on Facebook, feel free. I forgot I unpublished it. Probably in 2016 after I hit 100 episodes and put the show on an open-ended hiatus. And then in 2020 when the show came back, never bothered to republish it. So there's a Facebook page, even though I don't know if posts show up there or not. I don't put a whole lot of energy into it, but it does exist. So if you feel compelled to give the show a thumbs up on Facebook, do it. Why
The
not?
metaverse. Get there.
Yeah, go to the metaverse and check it out. Is that a thing still, the metaverse? Did it ever become a thing?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
I mean, I heard it was announced. Like meta's a thing. I just don't know what it means. I don't particularly care to find out. Oh, well. Anyway, and subscribe to the show on YouTube, which you can find, of course, at Cape Pod and link in the description below. And subscribe on your favorite podcast app to give yourself a dose of enjoyment every Monday because you deserve it. Not everyone should have a podcast, but I do. So here we are every Monday to fill you with knowledge and laughs and everything in between. A little bit of tension, a little bit of dramatic emphasis from Mike, giving us a little dose of like, listen, some scary stuff can happen out there.
A little bit.
That's right, a little bit.
A little bit.
I was doing my George Lucas, like the Muppet face. Hello, everybody.
That's actually pretty spot on. Look
That
at
is actually very good.
Thank you.
You got the
You know,
Because I gotta get that chin down there.
You know, with the beard,
everybody.
you have a lot more visual range than we realized before, because
yeah.
not only did you refer to yourself as Kevin Nash and now George Lucas, but my friend Ugo keeps referring to you as Ron Perlman, and I'm like, I'm not even going to argue that. Like, that's pretty good. He's like, when am I going to meet Ron Perlman? I was like, come to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, 65 Broad Street, Red Bank, New Jersey, and you can meet him.
Am I gonna meet
But
Ron Perlman?
he did, and I'm like, I don't know about the real one,
I
but
actually met Ron Perlman.
Did you?
He was fucking drunk out of his mind.
awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
I mean,
not really. But
No, well, I'm just in theory. It sounds good.
That sounds about right.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
man. Thanks, Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Love Jim Beauty and the Beast. Like, I've got a friend with a baby with acid reflux just like that. A motherfucker throws up on my shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds
Where
just
are the
like
dogs?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this does suck.
Where are the
Ew. Yeah.
Come clean this up.
Is there a dog around here? Where's Abe Sapien? Can he clean this up? I loved Hellboy. Anyway, well, that's it. We'll be back next Monday with yet another episode. So until next time, for Connor, who fucked off a little while ago, Ryan and Mike, this is Chris Aballo, and this was yet another experiment.
Pew pew.